And the wheel turns once again. Welcome in here, builders. We are putting a cap on our end of Middle Age dominions. And what a journey it has been. Give me a shout out as you guys get on in here. I don't know if I have anyone from the New Year's stream, but last time we had quite the problems getting things to show up here. The way I capture dominions does not allow me to alt-tab back and forth between my tier list and dominions itself. So I rolled up a few things here. I have got our tier list here, and then I have here, I have a PowerPoint presentation, don't ban me YouTube, that I have some details in here that we can look at. So we're not going to have to go in as blind as we did it in the last one. So hopefully that will work out okay. Now, can I? This is going to be a little awkward for a second. Hang tight. I got like 50 things in different places than I normally run them. And I just need to get that there. And then that's fine. No, I think it'd probably be better. Probably should have done this before we started. I would like you to taskbar behavior, hide my taskbar. And I think that's going to give us the most screen real estate that I can possibly get. So we will have our PowerPoint here that will give us some information. And then I will be able to alt-tab between that and our actual tier list here. Vaguely. This is pretty ghetto, I'll admit it. It's the best I could come up with and had time to get on with. So let me give some shout outs here. A shout out back at you, bruh. And Axe, welcome in. Sergeant Flintlock, good to see you. Blasterbot, Master Betty, Shannon. I thought you weren't going to make it tonight, Shannon. Finest One says Poggers. John Donut, welcome in, John. Abby, Samuel, William, good to see everybody. Hopefully everyone survived their week. It's been very weird here. We had like a heat wave a couple weeks ago. And then it got like really cold. Like it's getting down to like sub 40 degrees at night here. And so it's like absolutely freezing. So absolutely crazy weather here. My work is still just, I'm in the death grind for another 2 or 3 weeks. And then finally sweet release once that is over. So it has been quite a journey here. Everyone like a tier list video, no matter what the video is. We just like them. That seems to be the case. I don't know if people are going back and reviewing their homework for this one, but people have been watching the early age tier list this week for some reason. That kind of kicked off a little bit here. Is winning it? Oh, we will talk about that in a second, Finest One. I did go back and reread the comments on the previous one, like I said I would. And I made a couple structural improvements, hopefully, that will make this one a little bit better. But I'm going to put my disclaimer right up front. This is going to be a subjective tier list. I claim no objectivity here. This is just my and the builders' thoughts about the nations. I'm going to throw some criteria up so we'll at least have a framework to work from. But at the end of the day, I'm sure everyone is going to have a different opinion on quite a lot of these. I do want to give a shout out to Cameron Rose, who apparently is the person who made this. I believe that's the same person who made the early age one. I'm on just tierlist.com, and this one was already created, so we're gonna use it. Thank you very much, Cameron. Much appreciated. Oh, Blaster. Oh, no. It's worth at least 10% of your grade. F for me or for Pelagia. Like those nightmares in high school. Dude, for several years after I graduated college, my one nightmare I would have is I would like wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh crap, I have a paper due in the morning. And I like start getting out of bed to like boot my computer up. And I'm like, wait a minute. I graduated 5 years ago. What paper? The trauma of being a procrastinator through college and high school and middle school and elementary school. Pretty bad, pretty bad. Okay, well, I'm not going to dilly-daddle too long tonight. I do hope we will get done here in a reasonable amount of time. We shall see, of course. Okay, let me see if I have everything running well. I will say I'm hoping that people enjoy this one. Like I mentioned, we did the last one of these back on New Year's Eve, and it was a very popular stream, it was a very generous stream, and it was a very popular VOD. So hopefully we can add some value here, just like we did on that one. Miladora said, glad I went into trade work. I said, man, you were smarter than I am. Smarter than I am. Nightmares waking up thinking I have an exam coming up. Yeah, I feel that. My thing was, and I still get this once in a while, I do all right when I'm like in the stress pressure cooker. What I get is I get like a migraine after the stress is over. So like leading up to finals, I was fine, totally chill. During finals, fine, totally chill. Like the weekend after finals, like crippling migraine as like I come back down off of the stress. So I don't know. I'm just weird like that. This is how I'm wired. Unacceptable. Your tier list is written on a stone tablet and everyone who disagrees with it is 100% wrong. So saith the finest one. J-Rob starting us off strong tonight. Congrats on another, my favorite, age with a $50 super chat. Thank you very much, J-Rob. Thank you for your support throughout the last year and a half or so. Much appreciated. Is this going to be another 5-hour streams? What do you do for bathrooms when you're on screen the whole time? I have tried to be a little healthier, and I have been taking more breaks when I've been streaming. But I can sit, I mean, let's be real, I'm a gamer. I can sit here for 8 hours if I have to. So we'll see if I need. For me, it's more about getting tea or something to drink so I don't lose my voice midstream. And so I've been trying to do a little better about that. So we'll see. We'll see. I became a chef. Nice. One of my friends is a chef. Still have nightmares about some of the stuff we had to do in chef school. Interesting. What was my major? I have a Bachelor's of Science in Business. Okay, all right. I apologize if there's any flashbanging here. We need to get it tuned in, and then hopefully we won't have too many. Okay, hopefully this is going to be all right. We'll see how ghetto this is. I tried for like 3 hours last night to get it to work properly and do scene changes on OBS and OBS magic, and there was no magic. There was no magic. So this is the ghetto that we have. So for our tier list, these are the bullet points that I want to kind of hit for different nations. So, and this is in no particular order, particularly, although there is one of them I am going to weight rather heavily. So first up is just the theme and the X factor. Like, what does the nation do? Does it actually play like the theme says it should? Is it just cool, or is it boring, or whatever? Does it have a cool mechanic? Does it do something different? Is it just nation number 3? You know, so that is part of it. It has to do something interesting. The theme has to be interesting. For example, I feel like some of the glamour nations are kind of samey. They kind of do the same thing. Like, do we need 3 of them? Could we just have 2? Could we just have 1? So that's an example for that. Next up is going to be leaders, thugs, and troops. I think that one's pretty much on the tin there. Just, do you have good leaders? Do you have good thugs? Do you have good troops? Does it work? Does it not work? Does your entire army made up of 8 morale troops that you have to somehow figure out how to make them work? What's going on there? Next up is specifically mages and magic. This is including national spells. So if you have cool national spells that you cannot realistically cast, you may as well not have them. Mages, do you have mages who can just work? Or are they really difficult to deal with? Like lots of random paths. You have to get into communions to do anything good. You need to use like blood for just regular combat, things like that. Next up, this was a really good point. I think this might have been Slice's thought on this, maybe. Whoever it was, thank you. Expansion. I think that's a very valid one. If you're a nation that can't expand until turn 3, that's a problem. That's a big problem. If you're a nation who is pretty confident that you could expand on turn 1, like Middle Age Ulm, if you don't go into a throne, you probably can expand on turn 1 if you really wanted to. So I feel like that's something that we should talk about. Finally, just kind of combining all of that as a general strength. Also, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fix it because we're going to be here a while. I want to move my camera just ever so slightly. If we get to a point where my camera is really, really in the way, Please say something. I'm just gonna myself there. Myself a little more arm room. There we are. Okay. Okay. I talk with my hand, so it's kind of useful having that. Oop, and then we change slides. So overall strength, just overall, are you powerful or are you weak? For example, I like Agartha. Are they very powerful? Maybe, maybe not. I like Xibalba. Are they powerful? Maybe, maybe not. And finally, can this nation realistically win games? And this one specifically is where I want to say we will take account of actual multiplayer more than on the other subsections. As you know, on the channel, I play the single player stuff. My multiplayer experience is back in 5. So this is one that I'm very open to hearing feedback. And even within that, I'm sure that people are going to have different opinions. In early age, we had Yomi, and half the chat was like, low S, high A. And half the chat was like, no, it's high D, low C. And so obviously you have some different thoughts on where the power level lines up. I use a stadium buddy. What's a stadium buddy? Should I know what that is? Uh-oh. Abby says, I want to say sorry, Bob, I can't give you the right now. Dude, no, never ever feel bad about that. Never, ever, ever. Yeah. It's very appreciated, people who can support the channel, but I never expect that from people. I honestly really do mean when I say I hope I've earned your subscription with everything that I do. So yeah, we wouldn't be here if you guys weren't here. I'd probably still be making videos that 3 people would watch. So I appreciate you guys 100%, especially people who participate in chat or post comments or leave a like on the video. Like, all of those things are hugely helpful. Hugely helpful. All right. Okay, people are already arguing about nations. Hold on. We'll get there. Everyone is always fighting over Oceania. Maybe who gets to take their capital. I mean, that is a lot of nature gems. Hi, highly educated. Okay. So let's see how well this is going to work. So we're going to go to slide 2. That looks okay, but just know that the rest of them are going to be a little more wonky. It was actually really hard to fix that, surprisingly enough. So you get one nice slide. So first up is Arcoscephale, the Old Kingdom. So this is coming directly off of Arcoscephale early era. It has a lot of the same stuff mage-wise. Troop-wise is very different. We have lost our heavy myrmidons. We have worse or the same chariots. We have lost a lot of our other troops. We have moved up, though, into lighter-ish hoplites. But we're in an age where a lot of people have stopped using spears or long spears. So I didn't credit this at the time, but this is actually pretty good repellers. Because, like I said, a lot of people switched out for swords. Length 1 generally, sometimes length 2. And so having a spear or a length 4 long spear is actually kind of a good thing. They have nice hop-on shields. Depending on your variety, you can go from relatively light, but still pretty effective, to relatively heavy. The Sacred's kind of whatever. It's just a Sacred hoplite. I'm not too impressed with it there. You do get elephants. If you are an elephant enjoyer, they work how they always do. We have all right access to magic, although nothing super duper crazy. We do have enough astral that if you are so inclined, you can do mind hunting. We tried to do that in stream, but we actually won too quickly, and so we really didn't get to do a lot of that. And along with having the high astral, you need a healer if you're going to do mind hunting, and we have both of those. We also have Scry. Scry is really good. Just gives us 100% accurate scouting reports anywhere that we have Dominion. Pretty decent there. Order limit +1s, whatever. Half price labs is fine. And we do have standard forts. That's another big one. I almost should have made that a bullet point. Do you have age-appropriate infrastructure? Because primitive forts were already bad in early age, and they're even worse, even worse in middle age. So being on par means we have castles. So that is excellent there. Also, I guess I should have said this a second ago, but As I'm talking about nation, feel free to chat where you think it should be, especially if you have something like a statement about why, more than just throwing out a letter for me. I also want to say, Pyrrhic, thank you for the gifted membership. Congratulations to JF212. Do remember, if you do get a gifted membership tonight, that gives you early access to the members' first videos on the channel. Usually that's Dominions, but it can vary from time to time. Okay, now, here's where it's going to get a little difficult. Okay. As I'm going between multiple screens, I don't want to keep my Alt tab up forever, so it's a little bit awkward here. So, Arcoscephale, let's see. I think that they are decent to good. I don't think they're even as low as B tier. I feel like they're actually pretty decent. Can they win games? I feel so. Theme-wise, they're Greeks. They have hoplites. That's pretty good. They still have their national spells, some of which are kind of hard to do, some of which are all right. We have the infrastructure. Our mages are okay. I would say I would probably put them at low A tier. That's my initial gut. Let me see where people are talking here. A or B, B plus. Blaster says A, C tier because I never see them played. Oh, I see what you did there. Scry is neat. Spears are powerful. Spears need a +1 attack. Arco's gimmick is mind hunting, and that takes a long time. That's true, but that also gives them an end game. There's something to be said about, like, hey, if I make it long enough, I get really powerful. Recruit anywhere healers is a big deal. I agree. Pretender options, that's another fair point, J-Rob. Like Water Nations really struggle with having good pretenders, and they have decent ones here. The Titans, which, you know, my feelings on those, but even the monsters are pretty good here. Arco's B plus, they punch above their weight, but without mind hunts, they generally suck. 37 nations in the middle. There are quite a few nations, yes. Well, time for me to check the list. This is where Arco starts. That would be super helpful if you did that again, bruh. I won't lie. That was super helpful. There is no DLC, correct? Middle-Age Arco lost the mobility for its army. Well, we traded out the mobility of the Pegasus riders. Our normal armies, if they had Myrmidons, were super slow. They were not quick. What is Mind Hunting? Mind Hunting is an astral, I believe it's 4 spell that when it's a ritual spell, and when you cast it, your mage will cast either Mind Burn or Soul Slay on a random enemy mage in the target province, as if they cast it in combat. So essentially, you can range Soul Slay people. The problem is, if you get caught doing it, your mage becomes feeble-minded, which basically means they lose all of their magic pathing, which lowers their research too. So they're completely useless, but they keep their upkeep. What works about Arcoscephale is feeble mind is a wound, is a affliction, and healers can heal afflictions. So once you get there and you can start doing remote soul slay, you can absolutely wipe people out. People like Sceleria, who are really hard to deal with, if they're leading things around with one leader, you're guaranteed to hit him. So 2 or 3 people targeting that army, kill his leadership, and then attack the army and wipe him out. Very, very powerful in the right circumstances. Bro says, Arco's S tier because I'm always right. Pegasus Riders got nerfed hard. I liked the build I used for him, but I agree. Middle Age is not EA. Yep, that's true. They're not here. I saw Remote Soul Slay in concert. Okay, I think I am going to leave them for now here, and we will come back and adjust as needed. All right, we're going to work. Cool. Next up, we have Phlegra, Deformed Giants. Phlegra is interesting. Going from Machone in early age to Phlegra in middle age, I do feel like we lost out. Machone is just Greek giants, and they're very cool. They have Gigantomachia, which we do here, which is our declaring war on the gods because the gods suck. So that's pretty cool, and it's castable, and it's a good spell. We don't have a lot of priests. And I think our highest priest is a priest level 1. We don't have a sacred down here. So another reason that's a little difficult, but our tyrants and our big boys here are pretty good. The Cyclops are usable, especially if you can buff them. We have a free spawn summoner, although I think you actually have to pay for the upkeep on those Mouflon, which does suck. We have a really great crafter with the Cyclops. These are super combatant level recruits. They also can gather slaves for free armies, which is always nice. These are slave humans, so they are dirt cheap, and we have a good leader for them, so that fixes their morale problem. We're using a long spear, which is handy. Short bow, I've softened on it a little bit. I wish we had crossbows, but we don't. They're all right. You can make some ghetto thugs out of your Cyclops up here. So that's another little way to go. Your mages are decent but old, so that's a little bit of a pain. We have giant forts, which are good but expensive. We have special communions and special craftable communion items that makes them pretty decent. Fire, earth, and water, death, nature are all good paths. Decent thugging stuff that you can get on your big boys. It's very fun just to make these guys as super commands, and it works pretty decently. They have good stats. They berserk down here on our big boys. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty powerful nation. I don't think it's top tier because you are pretty counterable, but I don't think it's bad either. Let me see what people are saying about Phlegra. Very fun nation, totally agree. Pretty stellar, super efficient researches to get your 2 elemental paths. B- tier says Axe. The Gigante mutants are powerful, but everything else is eh. Auto communions are fun. Auto communions are very powerful. You can get into a communion turn 0 and cast something turn 1. So even if your enemy's going to do something to counter that, you can get it off first, almost guaranteed. That's pretty dang powerful. Pretty dang powerful. Tyrants can't get crushed by earth and air elementals. Correct. Flaming arrows are good. Yep. Shannon says, C for me, very mid, coming from their EA version. Now, I will say, for the list, we are only comparing within their age. So even if you are S tier in the first one, and now you're only like a B tier, I'm not holding that against you. Maybe theme-wise, maybe we'd talk about that, but just because you got weaker relative in strength, I'm not holding that against the nation, because in normal play, you only play nations in your age. So it doesn't really matter what people are doing around you. A+ for fun says Francalocious. I do agree, they are very fun. Blaster says B. Expendable cannon fodder with a long stick. Yup, that is very nice. They are good but limited, very fun and in theme. Yup. What is the reach of the big guys? I believe that's a length 4 or 5. Fair enough. Struggle with armies like Abyssia and Ulm. D for not being late age Atlantis. Well, I don't know about that, Beowulf. All right, so my thoughts on these are, and I do think I'm going to stick with it. Oh my goodness. We are not in order. I think this is a very solid B nation. They have a plan. They can do it. They're not a one-trick pony. They have super combatants. They can do some lighter thugging. They have the slave gimmick. They have the event for Gigantum, or no, not Gigantomachia. You get the assassins, and you get multiples, like 1 per year. You do have a weird unrest mechanic going on, but that's interesting, even though it's not very good for you. So I feel like they're low B, probably, maybe the top of C. I'm pretty comfortable with that area. I don't think they're dominating games for sure. Can they win? Yes. I do think you probably want to have a mobile god, because only having your prophet does suck, and we have no hope of getting any other holies. So we're going to start it off here. And again, we'll adjust as we go through. Phlegra does not get assassins. That's exclusive. Am I mixing 2 of them up? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough on that. But still, the rest of the points maintain. Strength of Giants on Heal Out Warriors can chop through Ulm's Infamy. Yep. Those are very, very nice. Okay, next up. Pangea, Age of Bronze. I would say this is probably not the worst version of Pangea. I think that goes to late age. But this is the most boring version of Pangea. They are essentially early era Pangea with some slight tweaks. You have the same Sacred, which is still good, but it's just the same thing. We didn't gain anything new to my knowledge. Maybe we armored up ever so slightly on a couple troops, maybe. We still have really good nature mages. We still have some blood access. We still have some water access and a little bit of earth. All those are good. We have some special spells. We can grow forts. It's okay. It's as good-ish as our crappy primitive forts. We do get half-price temples, but they're only in forests. That does hurt a bit. We are very forest dependent. We really want forests. Really want forests. Not getting forests is not as bad as on like Asphodel, but it's pretty bad. We do have harpies. Harpies are great scouts, probably one of the best in the game. If they were amphibious, they probably would be the best in the game. The centaur units are pretty good still. We do have longbows, so we're not stuck to just short bows. However, a lot of other people have armored up, and we actually don't do a lot of damage with a lot of these lower end troops. We struggle with line troops down here. And while we're better up here, we're not great. We're not stellar. The Minotaurs are very hit and miss, whether they're useful or complete garbage. They are nice for turning gold into units very quickly because they're kind of cheap. I'll give them that. Like I said, the white centaurs are good. They're good sacreds, but they're the same as early age. And so by proxy of people being stronger in middle age, they're slightly worse than they were in early age. Now, again, I'm not holding that against them, but I'm just saying that they are not as good as they used to be. So that's a bit of an oof. While we do have those special tunes, and they're okay, they're usable, they're fine. There's nothing that like blows my mind spell-wise. I don't think I see people really championing overly much Pangea. Again, can they do what they want to do? Stealthy armies, wild men, horde combat, strong nature magic. Yeah, I think they do all those things. Their leaders are all right. And you can actually recruit quite a lot of non-fort recruitment. You can get some of the better stuff like Minotaurs or Centaurs out. That is kind of useful. And again, that's part of your forest dependency. For my gut, before I even look at chat, I'm going to say these guys are like high B, low A is kind of where I'd put them. Can they do what they're setting out to do? Yes. Is it as good as it was in early age? No. Part of that's those primitive forts, man. That hurts a lot. That hurts a lot. I really wish that they had moved up from primitive forts here. We do get the growth limit +1, which does allow us to spread forests, which is cool. That's one of the new mechanics in Dom 6, and it's fun when it happens. So they get some bonus points from me there. Should also be called out. Everybody can heal battle afflictions. That's huge. That is huge. Like your heavy cataphract unit here, your sacreds, maybe your minotaurs. The death of those units is usually piling up afflictions. So the fact that everybody can heal those off is gigantic. Check in with people here. Recuperation on all troops. Yep, Pyrrhic, I agree. This is like trying to remix your one-hit wonder from 7 years ago to stay relevant. Yeah. At least they have a new single coming out in late age that's at least different. Sergeant says B. Shannon says B. This is the era where it starts to get hard for them because there's more armor. Yep, more armor, and we didn't improve our weaponry or our strength somehow. And that hurts a lot. Like, if you're using a stone or a bronze spear, you're going to suffer in a melee grind. Like, it is not going to be good for you here. No way they're on the coattails of S tier. Broken Nations, they aren't B tier. I don't know, Cyanide. I'm not feeling that we were all the way up on S for sure. Middle-aged Pan is good for making dark vines. I mean, yeah, they are good at that. A tier, white centaurs are still that good. Agartha top tier. Well, I'll take that under advisement when we get to Agartha. Hellblessed centaurs still roll the map. All right, let's put these boyos. We'll put them up here in A to get us started. Once I find them. It's Asphodel, that's man. There you are. We'll look at within tier later. I don't want to get too in the weeds on this when we're just starting out. We may do some adjustments once we have a few more in there. All right, next up, Asphodel. the cooler Pangea for middle age. Asphodel has most of the units that we would get. The black centaurs are basically as good as the white centaurs. We have a sacred minotaur, which does give you some tactical options, and it can be useful. We are more into death by a lot. We have a little bit of glamour, which is nice. The earth and water is good. We still have the good scout unit. We are now able to, we have an automatic pop kill that brings back good units, and then we have bad units that also free spawn. So there's like two different tiers. The mannequin stuff is pretty decent. The other guys are kind of, they're not so hot. They're not as hot. We have national spells that can summon in good mages that are undead and upkeep free. Very, very good. We have the undead holy spells, so we can buff our armies rather well. We are able to easily go underwater, and we are quite dangerous underwater to most of the nations down there. And because we have so many free spawn, we can just outproduce them and just overwhelm them with that. We also still heal those battle afflictions. We also still have the stealth stuff. All of those are pretty good. We get extra gems from our temples. That is huge. That is huge. Being able to pay money for a permanent increase in gem income is massive. However, absolute garbage forts. We are still really forest dependent. We get much better units out of the forest than we do elsewhere. We also get a lab cost reduction in forest. So you can summon a fort and build all of your infrastructure for 600 gold. That's pretty darn good. In addition, we have the Dark Seed, which can turn non-mannequin units into mannequin units. It's interesting. It's different. That's kind of cool. It's like an alternative to twice borning. I think that's pretty decent. I put these guys as a very strong nation. I think these guys are S tier. I think this is our first S tier. If they weren't S tier, they would be like the very top of A tier. Now, they have some downsides. Most of your units that are not recruitable here are mindless, which does make you a little vulnerable if you don't have enough leadership to getting mind burned or soul slayed by especially a human. We had one game, I can never remember what it was, but Relay basically beat Asphodel, and I'm 99% sure what was happening was Relay's mind blasters were auto-killing the leaders, and then the entire army was crumbling. And I think they killed literally thousands of troops for me, because had they not been doing that, I think we would have lost. This was also one of the nations that actually beat me. When we were playing as... oh my goodness, I just blanked on. I wanted to call them Phlegra, but it wasn't Phlegra. My Eastern Romans, they actually beat me. We tried to rush them, but we didn't do it fast enough, and they just dominated me with a bajillion free spawn units. So a little credit where credit's due there. The AI is very good at them too, which can be a little... Pythium, thank you, Axe. The AI is very good with these guys too. Let me scroll up here a little bit. They are also one of the few nations that's been nerfed since release. B tier for theme and fun. In Dom 5, they were Asphodel. Now they're A tier Fidel. S tier overpowered. High A, not quite S. S if Pangea are A. I think they're A. They have a big weakness later in the game in multiplayer. That's very true. And they have weaknesses that you can't really fix, right? Like, what can you do? Put up anti-magic, maybe, if you built for it. That's about it. Like, you have weaknesses that you cannot overcome, but they're not bad. They're not bad. And you usually should be able to get some kills earlier on. Oh, a very split nation here in chat. A lot of people feeling that they're either S or like definitely not S. Very interesting. Person, place, son. Algorithm requires engagement. I will check your name off the list. Thank you for your engagement. Okay, let's start Asphodel out. I'm going to stick with my gut, and I'm going to say that they're in S tier, but we will revisit. Maybe they're the top of A tier, somewhere in there. Next up, Ermor, Ashen Empire. Oh, Ermor. When's the last time you thought about Ermor? Yeah, they're that good. Lore-wise, one of the big hitters. Ermor is just felt through the ages. So many splinter nations, such a huge effect. The biggest effect at the end of early age, and one of the biggest effects in middle age. Very, very, very influential. Gameplay-wise, they're very different, even compared to Asphodel. We are very interested in completely killing off all the population, whereas that's a problem for Asphodel because that turns off some of their free spawn. It don't matter to us. Weaknesses. Leadership problems. We have a lot of mindless undead. Our sacreds are rare and hard to get if we're not doing... that's for our Knights of the Holy Sepulchre. For our other guys, they're not so bad to get, but they're not the best sacreds. They're just axe dudes, and they don't have helmets, which kind of sucks. We also have our ghost ladies, who are here or there, depending on what bless you build them with. You do get gems from temples, which is huge. You also have a problem where, despite the fact that you don't have units or things to recruit, we still need gold to be able to build labs, temples, and forts. And you only get your free spawn if you have things forted. So you're in a little bit of a race with yourself to get enough infrastructure built before you lose your income. So that's definitely a weakness, although I do find it interesting because it's a little bit different of a play style. In addition, you're a very, very bad target. Everyone agrees that they should team up and attack you, and nobody wants to be the guy that does it. We fought them in, I think, our Marignon game, and basically I took like one province in the north that was worth the entirety of Ermor's empire for income, because it was worth nothing by the time we were able to take it. Just literally nothing. In addition, because they kill off all the population, it's very difficult to march armies to fight them. You have to have either things that don't need supplies or supply items. And if you don't have the ability to do those two things, have fun, because you're going to fight every battle starving, and it's going to be misery. Ermor is good but annoying. A lot of hosts just ban them outright. That is true. I don't feel that that's the way, but that is true. That is what happens. Why the units of Ermor not showing? Ermor has no recruitable units. Everything you do is either free spawn or you have to summon them in. And that's another little bit of a problem. If you don't make your god able to summon in some of your higher tier units, it's quite a climb to be able to call in your, what are they? They're not specters, shades, whatever your higher tier mage is. It's kind of painful. And you're having to summon every single one of your researchers. Dusk Elders, thank you, Banders. Even if you get some cool indies, good luck using them because they're going to starve to death, and you won't be able to pay their upkeep. So you're very, very dependent on death gems specifically. Somebody brought up in chat, fire elementals. Fire elementals are a huge problem. Your undead will just absolutely get turned to ash against somebody who has a lot of fire. If I'm playing a fire nation and I was near these guys, I would honestly rush them. I would rush straight for fire elementals, and then I would rush to fire in a jar next, and I would immediately rush them. Especially if you can get in there before they fully kill off the pop. If you're somebody like Abyssia, remember Abyssia doesn't need the supplies, or they're half affected by death scales, which obviously Ermor is going to take high death scales. So a great target for Abyssia, actually. I actually don't feel that they are as good as Asphodel, but I do feel that they are about in the same neighborhood. Again, I think we're looking at probably low S tier, high A tier is where I would put them. See what people are saying here. Very griefy playstyle, but that's their theme. Now remember, we're not saying how fun is it to fight this nation. Can they win games? That's another hard one. Can you win as Ermor? Yes. Are the humans you're playing with going to let you? No. Because you know Ermor's going to put up Well of Misery. You know Ermor's going to put up Burden of Time. You know those things are going to happen. No matter what Ermor tells you, The whole reason you play Ermor is to put up Burden of Time. What are you doing if that's an Utter Dark? Like, you exist to cast those spells, and you're going to do it at some point if they let you. So, unless you are the suavest diplomat possible, or every single person in your lobby is like, I'm not going to be the guy that attacks Ermor, I'm going to let somebody else do it, you're basically doomed, because they're never going to let you do it. Now, if you're not coalitioned or rushed right off the bat, can you win? Yeah, I do think you can. So, to me, like I said, I'm thinking low S, high A is where I would stick them. Magic weapons and Fire Bless hurt or more. Are you saying because it's harder for Ermor to get the magic weapons? Sergeant says, if I'm going to give them a serious rating, I'd say middle of B. It's very hard to attack them, but their armies are also very counterable, and they have very low magic diversity. Ermor's E because E is for Ermor. Low A, high B. Zinbear says, I'm just a little boy. Ooh woo. There you go, Zinbear. Feel like Ermor falls off later in the game. Ermor has a hard early game, a good mid game, and a very hard to reach late game. At the beginning, it's very hard to get enough free spawn to do anything. Then you get to the point that you can do it and you're really good, but then you kind of run out of steam and you're waiting for Well of Misery, you're waiting for Utter Dark, you're waiting for Burden of Time, and you probably pissed everyone else in your lobby off at that point. I think I'm going to stick them... They're so hard to rate. They're so hard to rate. I think I'm going to put them at the bottom of A tier. You cannot ignore Ermor. I think that has to be said. You cannot ignore them. If nothing else, you better Throne Rush before they get time, because they're just going to keep piling up skeletons, piling up skeletons. And it doesn't matter how well you have countered them when good luck on behind 7,000 skeletons comes into play. Another one I will note just out loud, very split in chat. I'm hearing a lot of people saying down here. I'm seeing some people say up here. Don't forget they can get mind hunted. Totally can. Totally can. We did that, in fact, in our Arcoscephale stream to them. Ermor must be countered. Ermor is easy to counter. I think you can 1v1 Ermor fine. It depends. It depends. All right, and like I said, we will come back and revisit once we get more on the board here. Sceleria, the Reformed Empire. Okay, I'm just going to straight up say this is an S tier nation. We had an okay stream on the weaker end, I would say, for them, and they were still really good. If you were really pumping, really pushing hard, and weren't trying to show different things off and be cute about it, these guys are absolute beasts. The best free spawn factory in the game. Yes, you do have to have upkeep for cultists, but it is dirt cheap. They have as good or almost as good a free spawn as Ermor, which includes most of the better non-sacred Ermorian troops. You have strong mages that are very good in Astral and Death, which are good paths, and you have Air and Water, which are good paths. A little low on diversity here, I will say that. With an Amulet of the Dead, even your lower end guys can summon up tons of Long Dead, including all the way up to Long Dead Horse Riders, Long Dead Cavalry, which are pretty darn good units. They're not amazing, but for what they are, they're really, really, really good. You have High Death and High Astral, which gives you lots of medium and in-game spells that you can do that are very good. We have two different sacreds. I would say that our Axe guy is a lot better than our Vestals, but the Vestals do have a use. Being ethereal and being able to hold attack rear during fort battles or hold and attack archers on the wall is actually kind of a nice niche. Like, when you have it, you have it. It's nice. But if they didn't exist, we could just body ethereal somebody else. So that's not huge. One of our big benefits compared to Ermor is gladiators. Gladiators are always good. You pay one resource for like 15 resources worth of gear. They're pretty cheap for money, and they don't break the bank on recruitment points. Most of your human troops usually don't do much more than get a kill or get killed. So it doesn't matter that they leave after doing damage or taking damage. It's what would happen anyways. And in fact, it's kind of nice because then that means you're not carrying around a bunch of crippled limping guys and paying their full upkeep for them. It's also great if you need to rush or you are being rushed, you can pour gladiators out. Absolutely just pour them out. If you don't need those, we can move up into our nice tower shield troops. The tower shield is very good. It's good enough to help against crossbows. You have javelins, which I don't like javelins very much in Middle Age. The armor and the shields are too good, but against barbarians or lighter targets, they're still as good as they've always been. We do have long spear units, but they're on an old chassis that I don't generally like. Weaknesses, no range unit. We have slingers and we don't have fire to buff them. That hurts a little bit. Also, our morale is about 10 for a lot of these troops, which isn't the best. We do get a decent amount of death and astral income, but not huge on the, I believe it's astral's the lower one. So the gem income could be a little bit better. Let me go up and chat here. I did see that spam. Blasterbot with a 20 gift memberships. Thank you. Thank you. Very generous. Well, I'm going to read a bunch of names off here. Oh my goodness, the challenge. All right. Congratulations to Cuban Emo, Sebus, Angel of Light, Sergeant Flintlock, Harrower, Zerks, Alfred Honik, not Pyrrhic, Creepy Uncle, Chaz, congratulations, Chad, good to see you. Marcel, Oni Kaigo, Skelixer, Ditchwalker, Beowulf 19, Mole Man, Sea Sand, Crate 87, The Daz, Akaband 999, Flare SN, good to see you, Flare, and Millennium Hawk. Congratulations on those gifted. Make sure to say thank you to Blasterbot. Very, very generous on that. Let me catch up on comments here. By the way, Axe, somebody in chat the other night, Slice gifted some memberships, and they had a pop-up that said, do you want to turn on gift memberships? So it's a thing somewhere. It's a thing somewhere that I cannot find. I cannot find it. Sceleria is a bag sickness, yeah. You gotta stand up straight around here. I think they are low A tier. Wow, really? The fort cycle change combined with the troop count increases weaken them a bit. YouTube just hates us, Axe. Apparently YouTube does hate you. I don't know what to say about that. We are on a rather high-end stream tonight. There are a lot of people here tonight. If you're fighting someone with fire magic, Ermor feels like a C. If you're fighting someone without fire, it feels like an A+. True. Death magic, Mog's Ermor, Witherbones. Pyrrhic with a gifted membership. Thank you again, Pyrrhic. Congratulations to Papegasit. Sceleria is an A tier minimum. Literally the only downside is low magic. Yep, and it should be noted, unlike Ermor, we have the option not to bring our undead, which means your enemy has to guess, am I fighting an undead army or a living army or both? And the things you would cast are different depending on which army you have. In our game, we also got to make use of the ability of our undead troops to be amphibious. That's huge. That's really huge having that option. If there's no underwater nation, freebies. If there is, you can take the fight to them if you need to. That's pretty good. You do start with a fortified city, a little higher admin, but worse for siege defense. That's kind of whatever. It's not really a benefit, not really a penalty, I'd say. Whoops. For them, I think I'm going to put them at A tier. And I do feel like they are better than Asphodel. Asphodel burns out because of their pop kill. Sceleria doesn't have pop kill. Also, as a player, you will not kill off as much of your population making ghouls as the AI does. The AI unfortunately kind of sabotages themselves here. So a little bit of a weak side on that one. William says, when I turned on my gift acceptance, I had to go on a computer, not the phone. I couldn't find it. I wanted to go make a tutorial how to do it. I have it turned on somewhere, and I don't remember. I think I had the same thing. I was in somebody's stream, and it popped up, do you want to turn on gifts? And I said yes. And I can't find help documents, but YouTube help documents are garbage, so yeah. Abs Drew, welcome in. Can earn money to build their forts, unlike Ermor. Yep, that is very true. Very true. And if you don't need forts, you can just turn them into gladiators, which is huge. And we can't undersell how good the cultist is. He's dirt cheap. Whoops. You can get, oh my goodness. You can get 2 of them per turn out of a fort, and each one of them is permanent undead summoning. And if you take the undead leadership, which you definitely should, can move around a decent sized army for you. Thank God all the free spawn nonsense is over. Now we can talk about the real nations. Yeah, yeah. Asphodel has a stronger rush. Sceleria has a better late game. I agree. Yeah, I agree. The cultist alone is an A-tier nation. It's insane. The cultist is probably, like, low-key one of the best units. I don't necessarily want to say in the game, but very impactful units for sure. Next up, Pythium. One of the few nations I've ever lost with, although not their fault. We tried to rush Asphodel, and Asphodel accepted that challenge and beat the bejeebus out of us. You have a lot of interesting units here. Just like with the previous nation, we have the Roman or Ermoran-inspired troops. I would say actually better, because our sacred... we have the lady ones. These are worse because these aren't even ethereal. They're garbage. But our Emerald Guard is a pretty okay unit. It's very, very heavy infantry. One of the heavier ones, actually. We have Hydras. Hydras are a bit of a trap. But that being said, Hydras are also kind of like a poison grenade that you just toss into a problem and make the problem go away. Are they a main strat for middle age? No. But they're nice to have. We also have the Lizard Rider Cataphract. It's okay. It's okay. I like them, but they're not stellar. We also have Auto Communion Slaves as a troop, not as a leader. So you can get Communion Slaves that don't take up your leadership slots. That's huge. Very few nations have that. That is very powerful. And it's an auto communion for them. So if you build an auto commune item, you can just start in your communion. We also have access to the, oh, I can't think of the name of it, the ritual skill, where you can basically have multiple leaders help cast a ritual, which make it harder to dispel. It's pretty niche. I don't use it much in single player, but in multiplayer, I imagine that's decent to have. It's decent. Other than that, we do have assassins, which is nice to have. We have Tight Rain on our Hydra commanders, which is nice to have. Magic-wise, Astral's good, Air's good. We have some Water and Fire. Water and Fire are especially good at countering undead units, which Middle Age is kind of defined by big undead nations. So we have the paths to counter them. Astral too, I guess. We have high magic gem income, which is always handy. Spell-wise, I can't even think what they are off the top of my head, so they must not be overly amazing. We have a little bit of blood access, rarely, I think. Or we have a blood spell or something. It's not really too big here. It's more of a late age thing. Overall, I think these are a pretty decent nation. Very strong, not a huge weakness per se. Maybe a little samey, although Hydras, Cataphracts, it's kind of cool. And the auto communions is pretty powerful. Catch up on chat here. Perry says, time to go see ya. Have a good one, Perry. Too far. Emerald Guard rips and tears. Yes, they do. They're a very, very good unit. I like Pythium, but I think that they are just a B. Communion slave units are crazy unique mechanic. This YouTuber who no longer posts named Attica did a video on them, and he accurately said the communicant is a rabbit hole of how deep you can go. I don't disagree. Pythium is on my list to check out with the Hydra raising mechanic. I think if you're most interested in Hydras, late age will serve you better than here, because in late age, they're sacred. And you could do some shenanigans there. Try using communicants as blockers with 20 buffs. Yep, you can put these guys out front. They will be stunned because they're in a communion, and then you buff them up with like Astral Shield, Invulnerability, Soul Vortex, you know, whatever. Can be pretty crazy. Can be pretty dang crazy. Sergeant Phlegra says, I'd give Pangea a high C tier. They're a one-trick pony with air communions, but weak early game. The intended late game of angel summons have anti-synergy with your holy mages. You do actually end up with choirs and normal communions, which can be good and can be annoying. The angels also are... they're not as good as you want them to be, unfortunately. Truly garbage sacred in the Vestals. Yeah, I agree. The worst version of the Vestals. Not even a ghost. B tier, good troops, good magic. I think, for me, if I can find... oh my goodness, I feel like this is a quiz. Here they are. I feel like these guys are probably low B tier. They don't have any like major problems, and they're fine. They can do what they want to do, but I never see anyone complaining about them. The Hydras are kind of a distraction from there. We're not really super combating. We do have assassins, but the assassins are the same as early age assassins, so they didn't get any better. They're not sacred either. Yeah, they're just too human. They're just too human. If this was a late age nation, it would actually ironically probably be a little bit better, just because they wouldn't be competing against as many supernatural things still. I think I'm okay with that. And again, I'm not really too worried about the internal yet. We'll revisit. Man, Tower of Avalorn. Decent nation. We have a good sacred. The Wardens are pretty powerful. They're like, I describe them as Space Marines. They have really ridiculous stats. They're all right. You also have the Knights of Avalorn, which are one of the heavier units in the game for cavalry. You have good other non-sacred cavalry units. However, once you move outside of that, this is a lot of indie. This has a lot of indie energy down here. No crossbows. We have a heavy troop, but he's on the vanilla end of heavy troop. We have some like recruit anywhere guys that are kind of whatever. Slingers, ugh. Longbows are okay, but we can't buff them with fire easily. We get nature, glamour, water, earth, air, fire, so decent spread, and we're all right at especially nature and glamour. And we have a special communion, which is nice, and we can use it pretty well. We have a weird mechanic with the priests. We're divinely inspired researchers. So we actually get extra research based on our, I think it's our candles, which is pretty unique. So you can actually take Drain if you want, and you can use that instead of magic scales as your research. So that opens up some interesting builds. There is some thuggability here with our knight. That's handy. Glamour is very powerful. This is kind of our first big glamour nation. Glamours are really good. One of the better magic pathings, I would say. Bards are nice. They can seduce, although you need to find ladies for him to seduce. Other than that, though, mediocre leadership up here. He's all right, but he's sacred, so that takes a sacred point. They're okay. Again, I feel like they're just okay. You do still get some of the Celtic-like summons, which is nice. I don't think we get the Bard guys. I don't think, but we get the other dogs. They're okay. They're okay. Let me see what people are saying. The researching priests are good. Yep, I agree. Man is A-. Knights of Avalorn, hard carry. I totally agree. They hard carried our game. Logran slingers are great. They mog stuff in melee. Yeah, but you could just get a melee troop that could do that too. If we had better fire access to give them flaming arrows, I think they would be a lot better. You can get there, but it's a challenge. Don't talk to me or my longbow sons ever again. Low A tier. A tier for free research is OP if buff Dominion and Strength. Knights and Bows. Sacred Hard carries. At least A tier Knights are that good. Blaster says, I'm stuck thinking B tier. Magic just a touch too limited, and the Knights are strong troops, but okay at best. I think for me, man, I'm going to say... I feel like they belong near here. Like, I would much rather fight against man than I would against anything up here, really. I don't think they're bad. Like, B tier's not bad. Let's just make sure we're clear here. Like, D is like where I consider bad. This is totally fine. Middle of the road. You can do what you want to do. Maybe you could argue that this is like low A tier, but we're splitting hairs at that point. You have a decent theme. You have some spells that you can cast that are unique. You have good sacreds. You have human troops, but they're not misery, but they're not good. You have an interesting research mechanic. I think that's all very good. Very playable. Yeah, very playable. Totally. Good nations to look to team up with. If you have your choice between teaming up with Sceleria or like one of these guys, this should be your ally, not him. Ally with these guys to kill him. So diplomacy is also a little bit of an inkling in here. Yeah. Can you realistically win games is part of that. Like, you're getting coalitioned. You're getting coalitioned. You're getting coalitioned. So these people, probably not. Now, maybe they'll team up and kill you, but they're not building coalitions to counter man. Eriu, last of the Tuatha. Last of my patience with the elves. I was not a fan of these guys. I felt they were very weak. The glamour is their redeeming factor. You have a not even very good EA Sacred. They don't even, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't even have magic weapons or magic shield or the gold armor. Literally nothing. It's an elf with like bronze spear and some leather. Why he can't have the sleeper gear, I do not know. If he at least had the magic weapon and magic shield, this would be better. For me, their best unit is actually the Herd Raider, who actually is a really, really good target for buffs, which they can do. Beyond that, again, a lot of indie energy here. Some slightly better slingers. They do have a heavy infantry. That is a saving grace, but we found it was very hard to get enough of these guys out. They're very expensive for production. These guys have the furbogs. Some of them don't wear hats. Again, if they had put hats on, that would have been a big help. I like the Herd Raiders. I don't like light chariots in general, and I'm liking them less in Middle Ages. Our mages are very expensive, very overpriced mages. We do have a decent research option with the druid. We do have some scouts. We do have some, I believe we have seduction up here. I think this is another bard unit. We do have like a friar unit that's okay. Our furbog leaders are not great. If I remember right, they don't have 100 leadership. So you're looking at the more expensive guys or a mage to do it. The she infantry just don't do it. They just really don't. Glamour, hard carrying. Milesians are a race of humans. They're kind of whatever. Nobody goes writing love letters to Milesians. They're okay. Luck bonuses, again, it's okay. They at least build standard forts, and they do get a temple discount. This was pretty mid. This was pretty good, or pretty mid. Do I think they're unplayable? No, I don't think so. I know J-Rob, I believe, had a victory with them. J-Rob subs and says, or uses his sub super chat, my beloved. Yeah, I believe J-Rob actually won with these guys. So grats on that. This nation is too schizo. Just give my cattle raiders some love. Eriu is low C carried by glamour, being such a good path. Tuath are good mages, I agree. C+, they're still elves. The horses let us down. You can thug a little bit with the glamour guys, that is true. Such a downgrade of Sacred. Yeah, if these had the EA Sacreds even, we would be so much better. Reign of Stones Bait, yep, not putting helmets on. Yeah, Pi says they get golden spears in a mod, and yes, they do, but they don't have them here. I'm about 98% certain. And J-Rob is Irish. Irish confirmed. Okay, so I'm not seeing anyone that's particularly disagreeing. I think these guys are probably C. I don't think they're unplayable. I think you can play these guys. They still have glamour troops. Glamour troops are still good. They have glamour magic. Glamour magic's good. They have buffable troops, which if you can survive long enough to do, are pretty good. I think these guys are fine. They don't have anything that's like stellar to like carry them, like a strong sacred, a super combatant, just solid troops and a cool gimmick. So I feel like we're a C. Again, totally playable. Can you win a game? J-Rob proved it. You definitely can. You're definitely not getting coalition, that's for sure. So I think we're C. Again, totally playable, but just you just don't have the things going on. Yeah, Milo says, Cattle Raiders are overpriced, trash protection. They really need buffs. Once they're buffed, they are actually one of the hardest hitting units in Middle Age. Very, very nice. And pretty cost effective for killing giants or things like that. Next up, Agartha, Golem Cult. I actually think that this is probably the strongest that Agartha gets. Maybe you could argue late age, but our statues are very, very good. They are very easily counterable, but only by specific people. You really need to have like Shatter. Like Shatter or things like that are the way to get rid of them. But if you don't have, let's say, Earth access, statues are misery. Regenerating statues with like 28 protection are just hell on earth. And if they hell bless them with quickness, and we can't see them here. Oh yeah, we can. We have the Shard Guard. Shard Guard also, if you take quickness, hard skin, and what's their version of regeneration? Reforming flesh? No. Whatever it is. Construction regeneration. The quickness will actually apply here, and so will the hard skin. And that means we have a very usable, very good recruitable sacred. And you can cast a spell to summon more. Not these guys, but just Olms in general that are still sacred. And you can turn all of your water gems and earth gems into constructs. In addition, constructs receive additional HP inside your dominion. So it doesn't even have to be your special ones. Claymen, wood constructs, siege golems, those type of things, get that bonus. So it's not limited just to your units, although you're going to preferentially do it because they're sacred. Their lineup also isn't misery. They're okay. They have some good castle defending units. They have some pretty decent heavies. They're not terrible. You have some kind of meme sacreds here with the big boys. Troglodytes are one of the better tramplers-ish. You have some dedicated underwater troops, which means you can build underwater forts. You start underground preferentially, which is generally a good start in my opinion. We have dark vision. We are amphibious. We have pretty good researchers, although I don't think they're stellar, but they're okay. They're okay. We're good at earth. We have some fire, some water, and some death. We have some special elemental summons that we can still do. We have holy level 3 priests. That's rather handy. We get the standard forts, and we get the cave fort bonus income, which is nice. I don't have much of an opinion on Middle Age Agartha. Haven't encountered them too much. Honestly, felt superior to EA Agartha. Statues are cool, sure, but their non-cap units are mostly indie trash with Dark Vision 50. Golem crafters need Fire 1, Water 1, Earth with a random of each variety. Agartha feels like low A, high B. Statues strong, cave make money, but armies are slow. Yes, they're very slow. And basically no ranged options. We have pedumbrals, that's true. EA also has the Recruit Anywhere Pseudo Giant Sacreds. Agartha's super good, A tier. Hot take, late age Agartha. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's very arguable. For me, I think we're going to put these guys in A tier. Maybe high B, but I think statues are just that good. If you could summon Knights of Avalorn, then I think this would be bumped up. And we basically can summon sacreds. So not only can you turn money into sacreds, you also can summon with water gems, with I think there's a fire gem construct, definitely with nature, definitely with earth. So you can turn a lot of different gems into things that you can benefit from. I'm not doing internals yet. We'll look at that in a minute. So I think I'm okay with that. I could see a definite argument to move them down to B tier though. Next up, Ulm, Forges of Ulm. One of the nations that most people tell new players to play. I kind of disagree with that because I don't think that gives you the normal Dominions flavor, but I can see why people do it. They're pretty straightforward. They can be rather confusing though. As a new player, why do I get this guy and not this guy? Why do I have 2 of every single type of troop? It's not going to make a lot of sense in my opinion. Plus, we don't really do any magic, which frankly, if you're going to play Dominions and you don't like the magic system, you're not going to want to play Dominions. We do have good leadership. We have one of the heaviest cavalry in the game. Not sacred here, though. That's a major point, pushing those Avalorn guys higher. We have crossbows, which is handy. We have siege units, which are nice to have here, but much nicer in late age. We have pike units, or no, these are glaive units, I think. Very strong castle defense. We have some big heavy hitters for killing other high protection. We have flails. We have tower shields. We have our black plate, which is the highest or up there with the highest protection in the game. You literally craft black plate for your thugs. We have black plate on our infantry. That's pretty strong. Where's our weaknesses? We do not have great magic diversity. It says we have earth, fire, and some air and astral, but we don't go very high. We're going to struggle to even get the earth buffs out a lot of times. We do ignore drain scales, which is nice. So we can go high drain, which hurts other people and doesn't hurt us. We have some special spells for like iron bolts, which act like crossbow bolts almost. We get extra production from our castles. We are the Ulmish humans, which are better. They're stronger and a little more hardy. We do still have that gaping magic resistance weakness. I believe all of our magic resistance is 8, which is very, very low. Very, very low. And bad things can happen if somebody gets a good magic save spell up against you. We have Inquisitors, which is a cool mechanic for pushing back other people's domain. That can be handy. We also have Master Masons, meaning we can go all the way up to Citadels in the Middle Age, which is actually a pretty good advantage. That also kind of puts a target on you, though. I would love to take a Citadel off of you, especially if I'm a nation that builds primitive forts. So that's a little iffy. As crafters, they're one of, if not the best crafting nation. You can get some crazy good discounts on things, and these are good paths to have discounts on them. The construction discounts, correct. Ulm is definitely a game for newbies. Gets a feeling of the mechanics. S tier armor, B tier nation. Love them, but their combat mages are meh. Ulm hero is unfortunately F tier. Yeah, that's true too. You also, because you don't have a sacred, you don't get to design a bless, which is again kind of like key dominions. Now, as a player, not a new player, I actually think that's interesting that you don't have to worry about a bless, or you make a mage bless or a priest bless. Like going with a bless that has high precision can make those bolt spells absolutely devastating. Absolutely devastating. Magic weakness is bad when something comes at you with rigor mortis or enslave army or death blast or shadow blast, etc., etc. So I think these guys are good, and they're very good in the early game when there isn't a lot of magic going around. And I think they struggle if you haven't sealed the deal by end game. So where do we put Ulm? This is a hard one for me. I do think they are probably better than these guys, but if we make it to late game, are they? Because we have no late game. Like we just keep building more and more troops. I'm kind of feeling like these guys are probably like top of B tier or low A tier-ish. It also just depends, right? Like if you're in a lobby full of people who can't do magic save spells against you, obviously you're going to be a little higher because no one can target your weakness. So we also don't have any holy threes, so you're going to be god dependent and prophet dependent on claiming. That doesn't help out a nation that's very slow. We are very slow on the map, should be noted. Also, a correction here. Pi does point out that the mages are Earth 2, so they can get the Earth buffs. Misspoke on my part. They can't get anything except Earth buffs out. I will correct that there. Iron Angels late game, and I did get those out on stream, and they were really good. They were really good. We need sub-tiers. I'm not going to go into that much detail, Banders. They're a bully. Yeah, they're a bully faction. You either are the bully or you get bullied. What profit number are we on? One for at least every one of these nations. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with those Iron Angels. I will say that. Okay, next up, Marignon, Fiery Justice. Marignon is strong. Marignon is strong. We have very heavy cav. It's good heavy cav. So we're up there with the other heavy cav of the age, Man and Ulm. But one of ours is sacred. So we have that over Ulm. We also have a spam recruit anywhere sacred. And you could kind of make some interesting bless synergies between the two, such as Righteous Wrath. You can rely on these guys getting killed, and that will not only buff themselves, but it'll also buff your good units. Beyond the sacred units, we still have a good heavy infantry, one of the better ones of the age. We have a long spear, or maybe this is even a pike, I don't remember, but very good for a repel troop, which, like we mentioned before, a lot of people moved away from that. So this is actually better than it used to be in early age, in my opinion. We have the... I can't think if that's a glaive for whatever reason, but a very hard-hitting choice for two-handers. I believe he has castle defense. And we have the great sword units, which are really good. This gives you a very easily massable troop for killing high protection enemy troops. In addition, we have kind of the bog standard crossbow, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not overly priced. He's wearing the right amount of armor, and he has a standard issue crossbow. So you have good line troops, you have good anti-line troops, you have repellers if that's interesting to you, you have two different sacreds that can make some interesting synergies, or you could build one way or the other, and you have just regular heavy cav. Nothing here is a stinker. This is a really good lineup. Everything here has a role. Crossbows, I didn't harp on this too much with Ulm, but if you don't have a crossbow, it's worth noting. If you do have a crossbow, it's worth noting. They're just that good. You can mass them up really well, and we have easy access to fire arrows, and we do have air for wind guiding. Very, very nice there. Going up top, we do have assassins. We do have bards. We have inquisitors. We actually go up to, I believe we have holy threes. Our mages are nice. We have fire, astral, air, and earth. And we get enough fire and astral to do some big spells like astral fires or just big fire supported by communions. We have a thuggable heavy cav commander. That's rather nice. The flagellants are interesting. We have inquisitor, which is a cool mechanic. We automatically reduce enemy dominion and spread our own dominion up to 1 if we own a province. I don't think any other nation gets this. So as you conquer land, you auto start converting it, which is very powerful, very powerful. And you can speed that up greatly with your inquisitors. That's pretty nice. If all that wasn't enough, we have architects, so we can build citadels. So that's one of Ulm's big bonuses. We have that too. And we have a sacred site that if undead are on your capital, it'll kill about 100 of them per turn, making you not impossible to be sieged, but very hard for undead nations to actually siege your capital. Like, it's noticeable how hard that is to do there. We also get some really good budget gods. Baphomet is pretty darn good here. Let's see. A tier, decent sacred, good if limited magic. Yep, I agree. I will say, while it is somewhat limited, they're very good at it. Fire and astral are good paths to be good at. Marignon's the best self-bomber. I don't know. I think the flying nations might have you outdone there. Maybe. Middle of A. Mid A, another person says. Undead bad, devils I can live with. Marignon logic. Yeah, basically. No cost-effective common mage. Yeah, we are on the expensive end of that for sure. Recruit anywhere sacreds to find a nation, even if they are mid. I would say in like 95% of cases, yes, I agree, Blaster. B or C tier, easy A. Sacred Cav memes make strong. Don't they also get free bless points? Yes, they do. It's not even necessarily in fire. You just get +3 bless points, so you can put them wherever you want. Between free bless points, usable mages, good troops, good infrastructure, good magic pathing, holy 3 recruitables, I cannot put these guys below A tier. And frankly, maybe even like the top of A tier here. They can counter all 3 of these big big nations here pretty easily. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with that. I don't think they're S tier. They don't have the magic for that, and they don't have like a super combatant, but I think they are very, very strong. I think you respect them, and they have massive crossbows, which cannot be underestimated. I don't even know why they still get +3 bless points. That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. A recruiting or sacred on a nation that has bonus bless points. Yes, please. Pyrene. Time of the Akalar. This was a struggle stream through no fault of this nation. It was me bad expanding. I think this is actually a very strong nation. We are good at blood. We have sacred heavy cav and an interesting sacred heavy cav to boot. We have blood magic that is really good. The Beclerides are better humans. They have fire and frost resistance and some dark vision. We have crossbows. Now, these crossbows are maybe like a tier down because they have low precision, but they also have dark vision, so it's a little hard to put those somewhere. Magic-wise, blood, nature, air, earth, fire, good paths, good cross-path stuff there a little bit. We can do blood sacrifices, which can be useful. We have standard forts. We start on the surface, but because we have dark vision, we can easily expand back underground. I believe our Signones or whatever they're called still have flying. I might be off on that, but they're still very powerful mages. Very, very nice to be able to zip around and buff your armies. Down on troops, the lighter stuff is kind of garbage at this point, but crossbow, a usable spear troop, a heavy troop, a greatsword troop, a heavier troop, all good. We have a heavy cav, and we have a sacred heavy cav. I feel like these guys are pretty darn solid. Weirdly enough, they kind of feel a little samey, but maybe that's just because we were looking at Marignon directly before this. We have good blood hunting too, which, while there's some decent blood in Middle Age, a lot of them don't have the best blood hunters. These are pretty solid. These are pretty solid there. Don't seem to care to play blood, but they are built to... Yeah, that is true. That should be noted. They don't have any special blood magic, but these are probably one of the best nations for summoning in storm demons. We can put up storm easily, and we can blood hunt and summon them in. I think literally they should have a national storm demon spell. Just even if it wasn't more efficient slave-wise, just if it was more mage turn efficient, because that's really the holdup on this nation. 5 fire and 5 cold on every unit is really good mid-late game. Yep. Promote the nation. We'll corrupt him yet. Pyrene gives off major Bizarro Marignon vibes. Andor says, I need to play some more Dom, but other games are eating my brain. Yeah, there's so much good stuff, man. We are eating so well lately. Just tangent there for a second, but I beat Claire Obscure over 3 weekends where I basically played 8 hours on Saturday and Sunday. I think it took me almost 50 hours to beat Claire Obscure, but it was so good. It was so good. Oh, it was so good. Major props to anyone who hasn't played it yet. You definitely should go check it out. Watch my intro through the prologue if you're unsure, or maybe a little bit further if you want to see a little more combat. And if you even slightly think it's decent, go get it. Support it, because we want more games like that. Okay, back to our tier list there. B, if not low, A. Pyrene G tier, because they are the GOAT. Twice seen them spam Demon Knights. Yeah, Demon Knights also got nerfed, but they're still really good. Middle-aged Pyrene is S tier because they can scale research and blood hunting so hard. Babel got me on a Stellaris kick. Yeah, I'd like to do some more Stellaris. That first run I did wasn't super popular, but I don't know if that's just because people were mad about the patch and weren't ready for it. But yeah, I definitely want to play some more. Bioships and farming. Yeah. I missed the more money underground. That is true. We did lose that by going up to the surface. All right, for me, that's flash banging people. For me, I think Pyrene. I think these guys are solidly A tier. Just because they're vanilla storm summon doesn't mean it's bad. Like, that's a very strong unit, and we can easily give them storm support and blood support, and we have good research to get there. So I feel like these guys are all right. They have several different things going on. They have a good theme. They have good troops that are solid. They don't have a glaring weakness, and they can blood economy in addition to money. I'd rate them above. We'll look at internal logic more later. I just want to get things placed for now. Abyssia, blood and fire. Sadly, I feel like middle-age Abyssia is the middle child. You're not as good at fire as in the early age, and you don't have some of the interesting things that you can do in late age, like smolder ghosts. Our sacred here is probably our worst sacred too. Burning ones are pretty good, and the late age guys have tower shields, and they still have heat auras, whereas we have lost that on everyone else. That all being said, we still have good armor. We still have good fire magic, although it's definitely waned. We still have that problem where our blood magic is cap only. We still have salamanders, which do help with certain things, like wiping out large undead armies. We have some more affordable options that we didn't have in early age. We are probably one of the premier heat nations. We still like to do crossbreeding to our own demise, unfortunately. We can do death stuff, which is kind of different and interesting. So that's kind of a thing. We reduce heat death scales by 2, which is nice. But overall, a little on the generic side. Even on the lore, it's just like, well, it's getting colder and you're breeding more with humans. And we don't have the amazing units down here. We do still have Holy Threes, so that is nice. I don't feel like this is a bad nation, but I do feel like it's the worst Abyssia. And if you want to do heavy armor, other people do better. You want to do big fire, other people do better. You want to do big blood, other people do better. So, unfortunately, it just doesn't have any standout things. You do get a free bless point. That's something. No missile troops mean no crossbows. High fire income can be good if you can use it to turn into fire elementals. Otherwise, it's okay. It's just okay. LA is just, whoops, you bred too much with humans. Yep. Fire Mage gives you something unique compared to EA in late age. Top tier for damage. Very easy to play and expand with, strong summons, bad late game. The only thing is, it for a regular Dominions player, yes. For a new player, Blood's kind of a bad one. Blood and Astral are kind of bad for new players, and we rely on that somewhat. And we still have that darn problem of Warlocks being cap only. If like the weak Warlock was a recruit anywhere, that would help out a lot. So for these guys, I don't think there's a problem per se, although we're kind of one-trick pony. We don't have any like stellar breakouts here. We have to blood hunt. I don't think we get a real choice. Dang it. I keep hitting escape. This is Dominions all over again. I don't think they're Eriu bad. I think they're like bottom of B tier. We can do what we want to do. We're good at it, but we're pretty counterable. No, maybe I've even just talked myself out saying it out loud. I think you're like high C tier. Maybe you're salvaged by having some blood and astral access, so maybe you could go up here. But our troops aren't as good relative like they were in early age. They're not as cheap as they are in late age. Our mages and our blood are... We're just a weird middle child that we're just not that great. I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with this placing, but I'm also uncomfortable putting them up here. That's a rough one. Magma Warriors do so much damage. Blood can be more tedious than gem searching. Blood definitely can be more tedious. Sad trumpets. I think the cave start puts them in B. Okay. Maybe we tip that over. Starting in the cave, I do generally think is a strength. There's a good chance you just get the cave for yourself. Other people will almost always be at a disadvantage fighting you down there. And even though they nerfed it, there's still a lot of gem and money sites down there. I don't know. Obviously, very close one of these two. Okay, next. Ashdod, Reign of the Anakim. Very strong nation here. We had a hilarious stream with them, I will say. We are one of the few giant nations, true giant nation. We do have good blood, although we struggle to get enough people out who can do it. We have a really annoying mechanic where people eat each other on our expensive units. That's annoying as all get out. We do get fire, earth, astral, and death, and we are pretty decent at all of those. I do like the Raphite troops. They're decent. Even their light guy. It is a giant throwing a javelin, which actually keeps it relevant. He is okayly armored and has a repel weapon, and you can go up various sizes from there. They also have the heavy archer with the great bow. I like this type of unit a lot. They will win archery duels, and this one probably doesn't hold up against crossbows, but what does, frankly? And we have two, I believe these are two different sacreds that are pretty dang beefy. Pretty dang beefy. We have giant forts, which, again, they're expensive but good. We don't get any discounts or anything there, which is unfortunate. We do eat a lot of pop. I believe we still have the pop kill here, so that could be a little iffy. What else to say about him? The magic is usable, but again, expensive. And we're not quite super combatant levels anymore. We're like heavy thug levels here. Strong but expensive. Good troops, great sacreds, decent mages, B to A. What nations will Abyssia struggle against? Plenty of them. Anybody who can have decent troops that can cost effectively break through their heavy armor, and rain is still a major counter to a lot of what they want to do. No pop kill? Okay, that's good. They have the sacred summons they can't natively cast. That's true too. That's true. You have to build for the sacred summons if you want them. A+ for Ashdod. Almost everything that made Hinoma Terror. Less competition. Yeah, I do think they are very strong. Rain makes Abby cry. Rain does make me cry. I do think they're a strong nation, though. And they are one of the few surviving giants. And they are a true giant nation. They're not really, like, completely subsumed by humans, even though they do have a couple humans here. The magic's decent, although I don't think you ever have enough mages. But then again, who does? I do like this light troop for expanding, and I do like their archer, and I do like their sacreds. I believe one of these guys also berserks, which is rather nice. They also have dawn blades, so you have guaranteed magic weapon access. I think these guys are pretty darn strong. I don't know why I suddenly started doing that. I'm playing Dominions tonight. Do I think they're S tier? I don't know about that. I do think they're probably top of A tier if they're not S. I'm looking back at chat, seeing what people were saying. B to A, S, A+, or S minus A. I do feel like these two are about the same. Maybe we'll plop it there. I am probably going to have to promote and demote a few people just to make room on our list here. But a fun nation to be sure. Hellbless is less good. Hellblesses are much harder to do and not as good. And that definitely hurt them because they are definitely a Hellbless enjoyer. All right, next up, Nabaa, Queens of the Desert. Here's another one that is very strong. We have that stupid hidden dominion thing, which I don't think is a bonus in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of whatever. We still get the camel riders with their bird summons, which are ridiculous. Those things are ridiculously good. Just like I talked about, we have those heavy archers, which I quite like. We have that light troop, which I quite like. And our sacred's actually surprisingly pretty darn good. It's a glamour giant, which is pretty nice. We have fire, air, glamour, earth. All of those are really good. And we have some astral and nature. And we can break into blood pretty solidly here. Heat limit and magic limit is okay. We have giant forts. Again, expensive but good. We get half-price labs, but only in wastes, which is kind of garbage. But one of our summons requires a waste, so you're going to want to do it. I think these guys are very strong. The glamour's good. They're good at the fire. They're good at the air. They have a ton of good summons, including genies, which are invisible, which is very hard to counter against. This is just a screenshot, so I can't pull them up, but the summons are top tier and a little hard to do it, but once you break into blood, you can really break into blood. You don't have to go all the way up to like vampires to do it. You can do it pretty low level. And they have several different sacred summons and summons that they can do. I think this is a nation that, just like with the other S tier nations, I think you get coalitioned, and people are going to be pissed because they're going to feel like they have to take a bless to counter you just to be safe. S in my heart for reasons. Nabaa is my favorite middle-aged nation, fun nation. What even is a Hellbless? Hellbless is basically when you sacrifice everything for an amazing Awake Bless. So you'll have garbage scales with the assumption that you're going to rush somebody else and take their capital, and their capital is basically going to be your early game economy while your stuff it dies away. Shaitans are simply OP. Yep. We have the Dream Corruption, which is very powerful. The Camels are really good. And you have a bunch of Recruit Anywheres that are good. That's a very strong mechanic for these guys. The Avim are fantastic in EA and honestly not bad in middle age. Yep. Yep. Hey, Rovsy, good to see you. So I don't really have overly much to say. The magic is good. Their mages are good. Their spells are good. Their troops are good. They're just good. They're good at glamour, which is a strong path, and they have other options that are nice. I do think you're a coalition bait, but that's just the price you pay for being a ridiculously good nation. I think they're definitely top tier. And probably at least that, and maybe even that, depending on the lobby. I think Nabaa is definitely 1 or 2 at the moment on this list. Camels are the best raiders in the game. Yep. And that you can recruit them outside of forts. And I believe that's not even terrain dependent, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just recruiting them for the birds alone isn't terrible. They can still do Cloud Trapeze into Firestorm. Yes, they can. The Adite Longbowmen are goated. Yep, I do like them. And we can do Fire Arrows and Wind Guide, which is super nice. The Scouts are foreign recruit. Yep. It's just a very strong nation all around. No major complaints there. Uruk, the city-states. I'll definitely say right off the bat, better than We've invented hats for some of our units. The Iron Warriors, I think they're called, the Berserking ones, are really good, actually. They're a good scales unit, like, legitimately. Now, unfortunately, we're size 4. That's not the best. Our Sacred is this lady right here, and they're not very good. They're bronze-wearing formation fighters with bronze spears. We have these chariots, but they're like recruit 1s, so they end up not being particularly great. We do get water troops, and we can build underwater forts. That's good. And we do have an underwater mage that's actually okay, and he's pretty good at researching. We do get our priests level 3s. That's handy. Magic-wise, we're pretty good. We have a unique mechanic where when your god dies, you don't risk losing any magic paths. And we have special units that can summon god back faster. So if you like to play wet and loose with a monster god, good nation here, or a fighting god, good nation here, especially if they don't need gear, so you're not equipping your enemies. We get fortified cities, which a little better admin, a little worse defense. They have more expensive temples. That actually kind of sucks because you're going to want a temple spam. Overall, though, despite the fact that I really like Enkidu, I do think this is on the weaker side. Astral, which is good. Nature, Earth, Water, Air. We don't have a lot of the like Death, Blood, high-end stuff, so that hurts there. We do have some national spells that we are kind of able to cast, but we have some that we're not able to cast, which is, I don't know, that's a bit of a pain. Famous, the go-to nation for a reverse throne rush, or whatever it's called. You can take a mage bless to improve troop morale. Yep. Yeah, they're kind of cowardly. We had a lot of problems with that. We do also have a decent archer here. And we have a non-fort archer, which is kind of nice. And because they're big boys, they actually hit hard enough. Where you use the pretender to wish for a doom whore and then teleport onto somebody else's thrones and eat it. There you go. That's interesting. The shaman are also still relatively nice. That all being said, though, a nation that I enjoy, but I do think they are on the weaker end here. Again, just like their compatriot, I think they're very playable. They're usable. In fact, for me, I would put them here. I think those Iron Warriors that Berserk are actually that good. This is also where we use Dave the Lion, who is pretty darn good. Very minimal bless for an expander god, and then high scales, and we can pump out lots of mages and lots of scales troops. So I think we have a lot of distinct weaknesses. Bad sacred, mid mages, expensive size 4 troops doesn't help them out. No crossbows. Our armor's not bad, but it's not stellar in the Middle Ages either. We still have some units that don't wear hats. That's a lot of problems. But again, perfectly playable. Uruk Sacred is fine. Yeah, but it's just okay. Like, it doesn't do anything great. And ironically enough, formation fighters are kind of bad on sacreds because it sets you up for AoE magic, in my opinion. Very interesting tier list. Don't tell Discord players where you put Middle Age Arco. We're not done with on the internals here, as I'll say to that, but that's fine. Good for body ethereal paint. Yep, they are. They are. End Magnificent Kingdom of Exalted Virtue. A fun nation. I want to say that first. You have all these different terrain types that give you different units. Frustratingly so, they are all Picone for some reason. In our game, we struggled greatly because we could not get the Famini troops, and I had centered some of my strategy around getting them. We also had a bad province with our Sinos, and so I struggled quite a bit here. You also have really cool giant units that are basically unusable, or darn close. We do get an interesting mechanic where you can get extra sacred points for every temple you build, and you can actually get a lot of sacreds, but they're cap-only sacreds, even though you can get more than normally, and they're not stellar. Again, they're just human sacreds. They don't really do anything particularly out there. You do get recruitable Holy Threes, and you get a couple varieties of them. You can gather heathens or whatever, so you do have like a slave mechanic, which is all right. Our magic diversity, astral, earth, blood, fire, water, nature, death, good magic variety. We're getting some of that out of our other recruits. The Sinocephalians are good. The Famini troops are good. The, I can't think of the forest ones. I wanted to call them Malayed, but they're not Malayed. Whatever the forest ones are all right. Some of them are good. We have some heavy infantry. We have some crossbows. We have chariots. So good unit variety, even if some of them are kind of stinkers. The Picone troops, especially in this age, are kind of stinky. I really wish the Picone troops had the crossbow. That would turn that around like instantly. We have a scry site, which is helpful. Can be rather useful. I do think they are hard to play and very terrain dependent. They kind of want an Awake Expander so you can rush to the good sites, but they also need a really good Bless and really good Scales. So you're getting pulled in like all 3 directions for your Pretender design, and I find that rather difficult. Pray that the forests are in good location and they don't have plague sites. I see you, Axe. Same thing for the Famini troops, though. They're really good. I like their mages. I like their troops. But if you just don't luck into them, you just don't get them. Oriande, thank you, Zoxes. Sacred Archers, that is true, but Sacred Archers just aren't that good. They're just not that good, especially when these guys are just better than the Sacred Archers. Half-price temples is big. Yes, it is. That does help them a lot. Way map dependent. Probably like up there with Pangea and Asphodel for map dependency, or even Uruk, early age Uruk with their need of swamps. So a very fun nation, an important nation. This is kind of like the Ermor of Middle Age, where in late age, there's going to be a ton of nations coming out of here. But I don't think it's top tier. I don't think it's bad either, though. I would say probably like the higher end somewhere of like B. I don't think they're as powerful up here, like Sacred Statues, Storm Demon Factory, huge undead armies, white centaurs, and just hordes of decent troops. Magic, well, I suppose magic variety is about the same here. You're starting to look a little shaky ground here, buddy. Definitely not as good as the heavy cav here. As easy to get the heavy troops. Our magic is very reliable up here. Sacreds are just as good or better because we have Sacred Heavy Cav. Yeah, I think they struggle a little bit there. Fine Nation, very cool, very flavorful. They have a weird mechanic where they give other nations events where they laugh at you so hard they send you a priest. I don't know exactly how that works, but interesting, I guess, if nothing else. It can be strong but hard to pull off. Yeah, I agree. Rob C says, hold on, middle-aged man is not S tier. No, I do not believe man is S tier. I mean, we've already talked about him, but there's other people who have just as good heavy cav, and that's like the one thing that they really, really are good at. Feel free to post comments on the VOD if you disagree. Like I said, subjective list. I fully admit, very subjective. So, and not final. We'll do a last revisit probably. Nobody has as good Sacred. Marignon's right up there with him, and they get 3 bonus bless points. Just to throw that out there as a counterexample. And they have a Recruit Anywhere Sacred to go along with it. Okay, next. Bandar Log. Again, I have a soft spot for the apes, but are they good? They're probably as good as the good apes get. I feel like in early age, our evil apes were better, but we have the same troops. I don't think we've progressed at all. We have a Recruit Anywhere Sacred that is kind of bad. We have a Cap Sacred, which is slightly better than average. We still have elephants. We still have gurus and sages. They're still fine, but we're good at astral. We have some nature and a little bit of water and earth. We've lost our big mages, although we can still summon them, and they're the same as we used to have, so that's nice. We have standard forts. That's nice. We are animals, and we have low magic resist. That is a double whammy on not being very good. We have sacred summons, and we get the full shebang of both nations that merged into us. So a ton of them, some better than others, frankly. The light side ones generally being better than the dark side ones, especially because they're blood, and we don't really do blood anymore. A nation that's flavorful and fun, but I just don't think they're great. You're very reliant on getting your nature and astral up and running. Tigers are even stronger than they used to be. I do think the tigers are fun. Bandar has some of the best summons in the game, but they can't cast most of them. Yep. And not even like remotely, because it's blood stuff, and it's like heavy blood stuff. I do think you could do like a vampiric weapon bless, and it would be decent on these guys, and that could get you enough blood to do some of that. But you're going to struggle because you don't have blood hunters, and you have to go pretty deep into blood before you get one. Silvera says, hi, Mom. Hi, Silver's mom. It's Bandar or Caelum, maybe. I don't know what that was in reference to. Okay, so fun, cool, sticks and stones. We still have sticks and stones. We do. But I feel like we are on the weaker end for sure. I think we are a definite C, and we are probably the low end of C. Can you win a game? Yeah, you could. I think you're going to need some Diplo and some expansion luck, and you're going to need to win an early war, but I think you could do it. But there's just no fixing animal and magic resistance penalty. Even with anti-magic, you're just getting towards baseline. That's going to always hurt. At least the AI no longer uses Rage of the Cornered Animal on your mages. That was a fix that was desperately needed for them. So... And even then, like, this is close. They're saved by at least not being aquatic. Like, maybe that's their saving grace. I think they're definitely... Like, these guys at least have troops that can kill things. This is on the edge there. Tien Ch'i, Imperial Bureaucracy. I think this is probably the best version of Tien Ch'i. Imperial Geomancers is just strong. They're one of the best gifts from heaven spammers in the game. We have good researchers. We have a wide variety of stuff here, although some of them are kind of dubious. We're very good at site searching, which is kind of a weird thing, but we're good at it. We have 2 mages that can basically cover us. We have some usable cavalry, although it's kind of like whatever. Like, it's okay. Redguard's okay. It's definitely not. It's a tier below those top tier heavy cav we were just talking about. We do have a spy unit. That's rather nice. Unfortunately, there's not a huge upgrade in troop quality between early and mid. In early, our troops are better just relative than they are in mid, although tower shields are nice. These are very affordable troops. You have like a glaive here or a pike. So you have repels, you have a good 2-hander, although not as good as like a great sword or a great axe. We do have crossbows, which is huge. Probably over-armored crossbows, unfortunately. We have a couple other cav that are much less useful because they don't have enough armor on. But okay. They're okay. We have a lot of summons that we're kind of able to do. We're not great at it. We did lose I think we lose the Sacred River. Correct me if I'm wrong. Which is unfortunate because they're really, really good. Let's see what people are saying about them. This is the best Tien Ch'i, and it's either B- or C+. Blasters is probably B. The Sacred Cav is good. The other Cav is horrible. Meteor Spam is great. Meteor Spam is great, and there's not a lot of counters to that. There just aren't. There's not a lot of ways you can be safe from that. It is on theme. It does. This feels like bureaucracy when you look at this unit list. The crossbows are overpriced. I agree. Rovc confirms that Heavenly Fire and River Demons are gone. That's unfortunate. We lose a lot of the good summons. Yep. Decent troops and good sacred communions. That's true. Poor Tien Ch'i, also known as second cap for me. I can think of at least 4 strong contenders for meteors or counters: Mass Luck, Mass Twist Fate, Mass Flight, and Life After Death. Mass Flight actually would be probably the best. That would be hilarious. Okay, so Tien Ch'i. I don't think I can put them up here. Their troops aren't that good. They're kind of a one-trick pony. They're not bad. They do have crossbows. They do have usable troops. Maybe somewhere like in mid B-ish. Not bad. Again, totally not bad. I have a lot of fun playing them. Other than the meteors, though, the magic can be a little hard to use. There's a lot of scripting involved. They do have alchemists, so that gets a thumbs up from me. Bonus points for that. Redguard are medium cav at best. Both the rider and horse have weaker armor. Shinuyama, Land of the Bakemono. Probably the best version of the Yomi line, for sure. Grandpa here is a non-cap only super mage. Very strong. He is old, so you kind of need to do an unaging bless, but that's totally fine. Yeah, you could totally swing that. We have gobos, which is kind of cool and unique. You can fit 5 of them in a square for repel stuff, for fire arrow stuff, and that's pretty good. Rushing fire arrows, even the lower versions, is really good. Like, really good. I'm pretty sure on stream we even expanded with fire arrows, which is crazy. We have Kappa, who are kind of bad on land, but they do guaranteed limps when they hit things, and they get you underwater, and that means that you can build underwater forts. Our samurai gobos are good. The 2-handed guy's, he's decent, but he's really overshadowed by the longbow guy. The longbow guy has a katana, I believe, and it's just barely less damage than this, but you have a longbow. The longbow is kind of whatever, it's fine. The benefit is you can hold still for 10 rounds or 12 rounds or whatever your ammo count is. You can hold still in a line and you're very easy to buff. So that is huge. You're well armored, you have good HP, you have good strength, you take buffs very well. Anything that we can give out, and Grandpa here is very good at death, fire, earth, water, nature. All of those have buffs that we can pop out on there. Very, very nice. We also have the Obakamono. Great unit. You can time these guys and the Gobos together for really, really effective expansion. This is also a recruitable siege unit, essentially. A lot of nations summon ogres as their siege units. We can just buy them. This uses like 1 or 2 resources, so you can just poop these guys out all over the place. We have a lot of dark vision, so we can get underground easily, and we get the underground income increase. Now, we do use primitive forts. That is a bit of a penalty, but we have good options that aren't expensive, which make the forts usable. Make them usable. It is annoying when we want to get our better guys, but go capture a fort or 2, and now you have a good fort that you can summon them in from. Up here, we have a spy. We have underwater amphibious units. We have good leader. We have a very efficient researcher if you go high magic scales. We have a okay utility mage, and we have the super guy. So great mage lineup. We also have a very unique unit. I can't think of what his name is, but he has a sleep aura that only affects enemies. A very unique thug, to be sure. We didn't get to do too much with him. I think we did a little bit. They're fun, though. They're just really fun. We also get a lot of summons. Kappa, giant centipedes that eat dragons. Just a ton of them. And a good chunk of them are usable. Shuten Doji is this guy's name. Thank you. Shinuyama, my beloved. Dom 6 scale changes screwed you. It definitely didn't help them. Yeah, it definitely didn't help them. Unlike Tien Ch'i, which loses magic, they gain them. Yes, they do. Shinuyama is one of the most flavorful nations in the game, regardless of age, and has really, really good troops, and a hugely powerful recruit anywhere mage. Very good summons, A tier. I agree. I legitimately think this is one of the best mages of the era. The fact that he is not cap only, and I don't even think he's slow to recruit. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. He does kind of require an aging, but you can totally swing that. That's not a problem for you. So very, very nice. You'll never not be happy you have one of these guys. And again, fire buffs, earth buffs, water buffs, nature buffs. He can do them all. Very, very nice. He is slow to recruit. Okay. Slow to recruit, but not cap only. So we're going to be spamming cheap primitive forts anyways, so that's not a huge deal. I don't think the shamans are worth building them for their priest level. I like the shamans if you go high magic scales. You can get very efficient research out of those guys. So, very nice nation. I think this is the high watermark for Yomi. Good theme, very unique. Like, well, I shouldn't say totally unique, but pretty darn unique. Gobbo nation, kind of cool. Yomi, Shinuyama, Yoman are one of the nations that goes through the largest change. Like, every era is almost a whole new nation. So, that's kind of cool there, too. So, props to them on that one. I'm going to say A tier. Probably at the lower end. Well, all that's really fun and cool, and I think they're strong. Are they Storm Demon spam strong? Are they Sacred Statue strong? I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but they're pretty strong, and they're fun to play. That's a big bonus point here. And they definitely can win games. They even have a decent white form. Too bad Twiceborn's more expensive. Yeah, Twiceborn, and it, remember, scales off of chassis size, and they are size 4 mages. So that's a little bit of a penalty for them there. Okay, next. Caelum, Reign of the Seraphim. Man, these guys made my Nazca stream miserable. Absolutely miserable. A decent nation. They're still strong here. Our magic has suffered greatly between early age and now. Our variety also has suffered a lot. We do still have Mammoth expansion, which if you're good with, can be useful. We have some okay sacreds, nothing stupendous. We do use pure magic weapons, which is nice. We do have a major weakness where we're not allowed to build forts unless it's in the cold scales. On stream, we had some problems with that. We like it very cold, which can be a benefit or can be a penalty. We have armor, which increases in cold scales, so can make some very heavy troops. We have some shock resistance and some cold resistance built in. We are just a nation of flyers, which is huge. That's a big, big strength. We are better flyers than, say, Zots, for example. That's pretty darn strong. But our magic variety hurts. We are a little bit, well, we're not quite a one-trick pony, but we're darn close. We are going to fly at you, and that's kind of what we do. But that's a good thing to do. You land on mages and kill them. You force your enemy to script as if you're going to hold an attack rear, and then maybe you don't. Maybe you have some mammoths. Maybe you do skelly spam or something that throws them off. So there's some options there. They also have ridiculous strategic map move. One of the best in the game, I would say. Limited magic, mediocre troops with bad sacreds. It's really hard to actually stop something like Wrathful Skies from killing you. Yep. Sergeant Flintlock, I have no opinion on Caelum, period. Right? Weak, but I love them. Magic weapons, cold things, thunder things. I hate Caelum's expansion. At least you can jump over places that you can't take. So that's at least something, if you're not relying on your walking units. So these guys are like a counter pick almost. Because what I was doing in Nazca, these guys were like the perfect counter to what I was doing. So it made them way more miserable than they should have been. Do I think they're C tier? No. They're still flyers. They still have good mages. I think they belong. They're kind of like cold Abyssia almost. Yeah, I'm gonna drop them here. Somewhere towards the bottom. I think flying pulls them ahead of this even. Yeah, but we're not going to get lost in the weeds here. But I do think they're mid-ish B, low-ish B. Maybe in the right lobby you could go higher, but they're going to struggle against really high protection troops. They're going to struggle in the heat. They're going to struggle to push their Dominion if they're behind on that. They're very dependent on lots and lots of infrastructure. I have no opinion. I just die on them. Elemental changes hit them. Yeah, elementals got a huge nerf, and that really hurt Air Nations. And they also got cleaved with the glamour stuff, because a lot of what made them good was what became glamour instead of air magic. So any thoughts of being able to thug or something are out the window for sure. All right, I think we're in like 2/3 area. I'm going to take a second and advertise for myself here. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the Dominions content or my other content, to leave a like on the stream. That helps YouTube try to show it to more people, and I'd like to think that I've helped introduce new people to Dominions, and that is the way that you can help me do that. That is always appreciated. If for some weird reason you're watching me do a middle-aged tier list and you're not subscribed, I hope this is the stream that has earned your subscription. I'd love to have you back. We are starting late age next week, so we are only 2/3 of the way through the game. We have at least 30 more weeks to go. At least 30 to go. So we've got a long ways to go on that. And it's been a ride. It's been a fun one, and I really appreciate everyone's support on that. Your comments, your chats. I love to hear it. I look forward every Friday. One of my biggest stressors is making sure I don't lose my voice. So we can always have the best stream I can do. And I always try my hardest on that. So always appreciated. Glad to have people talk shop. You know, I don't have a friend that's playing Dominions at the moment. I don't really have local friends. Everyone's moved away from me. So I don't even really have my gaming crew. And it's just nice. You guys are my gaming crew. You're my Friday night couch friends that come on over and we can all watch whatever video game and talk about it and strategize about it and joss each other, just have fun in general. So very much appreciated to everybody. And just like Blasterbot and J-Rob and Pyrrhic, if you'd like to go further and support the channel, you can always leave a super thanks on a video or VOD. You can always join live and do a super chat or become a member or gift a membership. And those memberships are amazing. They're a little more stable for me, so I can kind of make decisions based on the level of memberships I have compared to the spiky nature of, say, a super chat, although both are appreciated. It also gives you access, which is something I like. I like feeling like I can give you some extra thank you value, which is you get early access to the pregame videos or whatever else I'm working on. I'm also going to take this moment and advertise in the channel information. There is a link to my Discord. Right now, I'm mainly using it as a notification machine since people tell me YouTube never notifies them when I go live. Right now, if you are a channel member, even if you're on a gifted membership, if you link Discord and YouTube, it'll auto-assign you a role and you can chat on the server. Right now, I do have that limited to just members because I don't have the time to be able to moderate it properly. In a couple months, when I have some more time, I will open the floodgates. And as long as people behave, I will leave it open for everyone to chat. We've had some people, We've had some people organizing Dominions games. I believe we've had a finished early age, a finished middle age, and I think Slice just started a new 12 or 14 player game. So if you're looking to get in on some kind of beginners Dominion games, even if you're not a channel member, you can get their contact information from the channel and join those. I just added 2 new channels today. One where either I or if anyone else would like to contribute, I'm going to start posting when I see a good sale. Like I just posted 6 Ages Lights Go Out went on sale. So I'll notify people if I notice any interesting sales. And I also added a channel for suggestions. So if you have a game that you think I should check out, post it in that channel. And that's another way that I can remember to go look at those. It's hard for me if you just say it in chat to remember tomorrow after I passed out for 12 hours what you were suggesting to me. So definitely leave suggestions there and I will take a look at those. Blasterbot with a 10 gift membership again. Thank you, Blaster. Congratulations to Dennis Dwee, Jonathan Davis, Josie Kidder, Beheller Trespass, Beowulf, Christian Hagberg, Matthew Kustra, Justin Steele, Malax Marcus, and Celsalid Argurazpide, and Tut for getting those gifted memberships. Remember to say thank you to Blasterbot and our other generous channel members. Thank you. Much appreciated. Your stuff helped me get into the game, so it's been awesome. Well, thank you, Banders. Always appreciated. And just for anyone in general, leave comments on videos if you have questions. I read every comment, and 99% of them I respond to them. So even if it's about an early age nation, if you have a question, post, I'll do my best to answer it for you. I do not mind at all. Or feel free to hop on one of the streams, especially if it's Dominions, but any stream is fine. And people are always happy to answer questions. Still madness that you're doing every nation? Yep. And we did every single nation pregame and stream in Middle Age. There were 2 early era nations that I didn't stream, Pelagia and Oceania, because I didn't think they'd be very fun to watch. But in Middle Age, we did them all. People post pictures of goats. That is true. Kermode does have his goat fetish, and it is going strong. Slice, yep. We finished 3 games: early era, middle era, and a late age. Oh, that's right. The Disciple game was late age. Yeah, very, very cool. I'm so excited that people are getting in there and doing that. Goat, yeah, look, you say Kermode enough and you summon him in. If you say Sao, Goat show this weekend, he's doing his best to roleplay as Pyrene. Okay, back to it here. Next up, Nazca, otherwise known as Better Caelum, basically. Another very strong nation. You're noticing some patterns here. Free spawn undead, and in this case, spammable sacred ghost undead. Very, very strong. I had a bit of a struggle stream, but that was because I had to fight End and Caelum, and I was in a 3-way war, and we still won. And it was hard to win, but we weren't close to losing, if that makes any sense. I do think they are not as good as they used to be, but I think they are still very strong. They do have economy problems later in the game because these mummies are like 1,000 gold a year upkeep. It is ridiculous. You also can have these horrible extinction events where some of your mages die and they cause you to sacrifice other mages. So you can end up with some weird situations where you're like trying to get your mummies killed off because you can't afford them. So that's a bit of an oof. Their troops are also pretty mediocre. They're definitely not the best. Caelum's troops definitely outclass these guys. These are like Wish.com Caelum troops. That being said, though, you can get yourself a peace level 4, and from turn like 3 or 4, you can be summoning in Sacred Ghosts for the rest of the game for free. And you have an astral spell that does it. And you can summon in Sacred Condors. And all of your Sacreds kind of like the same blesses. So whatever you choose, everybody gets it. Very, very strong. Very, very strong. Like I said, primitive forts hold them back. Thankfully so, because it would be ridiculous if they had a better economy. Their other undead units are kind of mid, but they're just so dang spammable, and they're backed up by very, very strong mages, which is definitely helpful. Fire, earth, air, death, astral, and a little bit of nature is a good spread. And we get I believe we get the priest spells that buff undead, which is always nice. Nazca strong, I agree. Reanimator priest summoning flying ghosts is complete BS. You couldn't have said it better. Nazca is probably the last S tier, though I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped to A. Hella expensive. Condors. The ghosts are not as strong. Can't take a lot of buffs. Yeah, spirit form definitely hurt them, for sure. And the weapons needing an MR check is definitely a weakness there, but they're very spammable. And you're not reliant on them. If whatever you're fighting they suck against, summon in condors instead, or use your other 2 sacreds. So you have like, what, four basic spammable sacred units and several other summons that you could do. So very, very nice. Probably the best nation with the Hellbless, probably. I would say Nazca is probably better than Asphodel, because Asphodel burns out. When you've killed off all the population, you're stuck with the junky undead. We don't have that problem here. Our problem is economy based. And you know what fixes an economy problem? Conquering your neighbor and taking his money. And then that problem just solves itself. Unlike this, where, I mean, yeah, you can conquer some new lands, but you're still going to run into the same problem. So I do feel that they are up here. Now, maybe they're down here. Maybe I'm correct. But I do feel that that is the case. So do note, undead free spawn, undead free spawn, undead free spawn. Only due to some very specific limitations of how they work, they're down here. And maybe they even should be a little bit higher on that list. So, yeah, a strong mechanic to be sure. Mictlan, Reign of the Lawgiver. Mictlan. Oh, Mictlan. Okay, Middle Age, we at least use normal Dominion mechanics. We don't get Dom killed because we get no natural spread. That's a bonus. We have lost all of our blood in an era when blood is becoming better. That's a negative. Our Recruit Anywhere Sacred is now Eagles, which is pretty good. I would argue that's better than Recruiting Anywhere Jaguars, although depends on your circumstances. How unfortunate that this is not their early age and their early age was their middle, because we basically haven't changed. This is the same troops, this is the same leaders, minus some blood and switching out who is our Recruit Anywhere. So they're not horrific. They can still do all right. This guy, especially with the right blessing, is pretty dangerous. I believe we used a death blessing, death weapons, and that was really cool and fun. You can also just go the strength route, which is also pretty good. Quaddle are a very strong caster. We have several strong casters, although Most of our best casters are cap only, and several of them are slow to recruit. Our recruit anywheres is like the Turkey mage, and he's okay, but he's not stupendous, unfortunately. We still can do the slavery stuff, but we get junk slaves. We don't get like good combat slaves, so that's kind of out the window. We do get some bonus bless points, which helps, but it's desperately needed here. Unlike on, say, Marignon, who I'm not sure really needs that +3. The primitive fortified cities is pretty bad. They're not even forts, they're fortified cities. That's pretty ouch. The Nahuli is the Turkey mage. And yeah, he does carry the nation. It is on his Turkey gobble gobble that this nation is even a thing still. Recruiting or Sacred's Caelum. Yep, that definitely does. Basic troops suck, which is hard on them. Yeah, like the moon guys are all right, and they do have dark vision. So that's kind of nice. You can get underground, especially if you don't have to fight a dedicated underground person. But otherwise, it's a lot of bronze and stone weaponry on like leather armor. It's the same as early age. We have not progressed. That's a bad sign. I definitely think this is on the weaker end. Again, though, does that mean you can't win? No, it totally doesn't. But I do think this is on the weaker end of nations. I think this is another one that is down here. And maybe even like that in this age, simply because these guys at least have better sacreds. Although the Eagle Warriors aren't bad either. So I don't know. They're kind of fighting it out down here, in my opinion. You attrit hard. Yep. High attrition, human troops. Not having the blood when now is the time when blood would have actually been really good. We get blood back in late age, but everyone's doing blood at that point. So that's not really a bonus. You're just back to baseline. So that is unfortunate. Please put someone. I do think you can still win games here. So I don't think that D tier. Their tiers are like borderline unplayable to me. And I do think that these guys can still win, but they are probably bottom. Like, maybe they're better than the monkeys because at least they're not animals with 8 magic resistance. But the fact that I'm arguing between the two is not a good sign for you. Okay, next. Xibalba, Flooded Caves. My favorite Xibalba, and ironically, it's the Xibalba that doesn't really have a lot of Zots. I like the sad froggy boys quite a bit, and they have an okay sacred who he's kind of like, he's a workhorse. He's not pretty, he's not good, but he gets things done. He doesn't have a hat, unfortunately, but he hits really hard. I believe he has a magic weapon, correct me if I'm wrong. There's that. We have sacred dart throwers that aren't very good. We still can get Zots, but they're limited recruit. We have some recruit anywheres who are kind of interesting. We can do water forts, which is nice. We have a cave start, which is nice. We have some good mages up here. The Matab and whatever this guy is are both pretty good mages. We have enough water to do some interesting things. Water, earth, death, nature, and a little bit of blood and air. So at least we maintain some of our blood. We have relatively cheap troops, but they're bad troops. These are like if Mictlan were frogs. Literally, this is that nation. We are amphibious. We do have some flying troops. Those help. We do have a good sacred assassin, and we have a really good sacred assassin hero. Like one of the best in the game, I think, for sure. Jungle warriors are pretty decent, as somebody mentioned. Frogs and bats are OP, A tier, fight me. C tier. Chassis are expensive. They are. Cave layers a big buff. Yeah. I think Xibalba more than any other nation benefited. Well, maybe Agartha benefited from having a cave. It helped so much. Having cave only spells before was such a joke, and now it's actually a good thing. We do lose a lot of the cool blood stuff here, unfortunately. Hat good. Everyone need hat when crossbow shows up. Yeah, no crossbows, not even short bows. We have stupid dart throwers, and they have like 2 ammo or something horrific. They're not very good. You simply use the turbo communions. Yep, that is handy. Dark vision up is nice. Water, land spells are okay. Brutal expansion. Yeah, we suffered a lot. If I remember right, we actually ended up with a really nice blob of these sacreds, which really, really, really helped us out. And we had some pretty big magic, and we had like giant squads of self-sacrificing Zots that helped us out a little bit there. You have to know how to expand in caves. Yeah, and ironically enough, they're like one of the weakest thing in the caves. They struggle with troglodytes, they struggle with cavemen, they struggle with Brechtides. So that does suck. But once you've cleared it out, once you own the caves, you can do pretty good. And you can get extra Zots, which is helpful. Yeah, so I'm a little torn on these guys. They're probably C tier. I mean, I don't know how I could put them above. I mean, Glamour's better than their magic. They're like stuck in this tier. I almost need an E tier just so I can have these guys below these, because this is definitely a step down from these two, in my opinion. So somewhere in this neighborhood, these three are definitely friends for sure. All right, next, Satis Miasma. I wish I could say this was the best Satis, but Late Age is just ridiculously powerful. This is one of the more flavorful nations. We have a unique mechanic where things inside our dominion turn into swamps, and swamps in our dominion give diseases to anyone who's not cold-blooded. These guys are like all the annoyance of fighting Ermor or Asphodel with the pop kill, but you don't have to do pop kill. You'll lose pop because you're turning things into swamps, but you'll still have some. You also have swamp survival. Swamps give a penalty to anyone fighting in them if you don't have it. A lot of people don't recognize that, but it slows you down and lowers your attack and defense, and I think it might even make it more fatiguing. It's nasty to fight in the swamps. Most of our troops are the same as they were in early age, but we had okay troops in early age. We have the Falchineer, we have the slave troops and the runners who are good flankers. We have the poison slingers who are great for killing your own front line, in addition to the enemy front line. We have our sacreds up here. I believe are you a recruit anywhere? Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. We have the big Sobek guard who are really good, and these Sobeks are really good too. They really like having like regen. They hit hard, they have multiple attacks, they have high HP. Good sacreds. This one's very limited. I think it's 1 or 2 per turn. Very, very limited. They're not cap only. Okay. Good for filling out your numbers then. No Sorrowmancers. Yeah, unfortunately, magic's not the same, but they're still good. We can still communion up for big nature. We still have some death, which is good. We still have some astral, which is good. We still have the powerful priests, which are good. This chassis is almost thuggable. He's almost, depending on what your bless is, so that's nice. The domain transforming is just so good. It's so good. And the fact that it's not reliant on a certain scale, you just need your dominion, means going high dominion and spreading your dominion is very strong here. Once you've turned into a swamp, it's very hard for another nation to get rid of it. And if it's got your dominion, it's also going to disease them. So have fun sieging me out, because everything you send is going to have a disease. It's pretty brutal. Downsides. Cold-blooded isn't as bad as it used to be, but it's still pretty bad. And everything we have is cold-blooded. That's a little painful. We're not the most efficient researchers, and we need a lot of magic. That can hurt. People are highly incentivized to take poison resistance against us, whether we foul vapor or we use our poison slingers. There's a decent chance that one way or the other it's going to be useful. Beyond that, though, they're not bad. Like I said, these troops are okay. They're not stellar, but they're not miserable. Like the Falchineer against light or medium troops is a blender. He's really good. But no shield means he's probably taking a crossbow. Same with the slave troops. They can be really good, either very, very cheap or pretty cheap and effective. But against a dedicated good troop, they're going to struggle a little bit. The elite warriors do rip and tear. I agree. They're pretty darn good. The slinger unit's unique and usable. I wish we had more slingers that were like this, but like a fire slinger and an ice slinger and an acid slinger. Those would be cool, unique units that somebody could have. These other troops are pretty bad too. Your line troop is okay, but he is not going to stand up against heavy line troops of the age. So that's a little bit of an oof there. Overall, I would say fine. They're good on theme. They have an interesting, strong, unique mechanic. They have usable sacreds that are fun. They still have good mages that are decent. We lost the chariots, which are kind of a sad thing. That was kind of cool. Satis. I think I'd put Satis probably somewhere in mid B tier. Very usable. They're good at what they do, but they're not stellar. If the poison swamp thing doesn't work, then you don't really have anything else to do. You're kind of stuck there. Satis treated swamps like farm, they'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Well, the problem is that when things turn into swamps, it lowers the population carry capacity. So while you don't have pop kill per se, the pop will migrate away because they can't live there. So that I do wish they had a unique mechanic for that they didn't lose pop, or like swamps have increased carry capacity and you could keep those. Okay, next. Machaka. Definitely the best version of Machaka, despite me hating spiders. We have one of the best cavalry units in the game, I think. The guy on top is whatever. He's like a heavy infantry with a spear, but he's riding like a size 9 spider or size 10 spider that has a ridiculous attack. These guys are very good with the right bless. You could do crazy expansion with them. And their leader version has a priest level. So you can have one of these guys and 5 each of these guys be an expansion party. And you can easily combine 2 or 3 expansion parties for a hard province. You have a repelling weapon that can help keep you safe. I think that's pretty decent. You have some heavy troops, although they're hard to get out. Other than that, though, your other troops are kind of garbage. Your lighter spider troops are okay. They have web attacks, which really help them out. Mage-wise, we have a pretty good lineup, a little on the expensive side, but we have like Heretic, which is kind of cool. We have some shape-shifting. We have some good fire stuff. Fire, Earth, Death, Nature, Glamour is all pretty good. We have decent national spells, including Sacred Animals. Every nation that claims to have a holy animal should have a corresponding sacred animal summon. If you worship bears, you have to have a bear sacred summon that's castable. It has to be castable. So in this nation, you can summon in these big spiders as I believe it's a nature summon, and it's totally doable and they're good. Very appreciated there. You have pretty good assassins. I believe it's this guy right here, who are pretty darn nice. A little hard to get out, unfortunately. You have good leaders. You have good cavalry leaders. I believe we have tight rein or animal leader on this, so you can summon in other animals and actually make decent use of them. And we have okay paths for buffing them, so that's kind of nice. As far as heavy troops go, though, they're on the lower side of that, and our other troops are garbage, absolute garbage. The pygmy is probably the best, and that's because you can fire arrow him. So there's that. Hilariously good against Sceleria, somehow B tier. The guy on top has a lance falchion now. That's true, yes. Great mages, great sacreds, decent troops. The panic that casts foul vapors got 0 kills in 15 rounds. Wow, what were you fighting? We did some foul vapors recently, and it worked pretty well. That was in the Oceania stream. And we also used it in Pelagia, I think. We had Flippy. Yeah, Flippy with his stinky gas. Love my spider boys, but to be honest, they're B. Late age Machaka win. You'll have to send that one to Illwinter, J-Rob. I would love to see, like, return a lion. Like, the Lion King, and he returns. Come on, this writes itself, Illwinter. You didn't write any other good lore for him. What more do you need? I do think that would be pretty cool. Especially if we got, like, you know, in early age, we have those, the sacred lion warriors. If, like, their whole army was those guys. Like, they're the big colossi units, and maybe they're all wearing the lion pelts, and we get, like, a variety of troops, not just the sacred. That would be so cool. And maybe some lion knights, lion riders or something. Hyenas making a comeback. Yeah. Well, yeah, and the lion would bring the other animals back, right? And he would kill spiders, so we would lose all of our spider units. Or maybe there would be, like, one mage left or something. The hoplites are honestly the best in the game because you can get them with Dread. Yeah, Dread and Awe. Yep, we can buff those in here. Lion tribe returns from exile from Baratos and saves the tribe. Yep, it writes itself, man, I'm telling you. I closed this screen with escape in game. It's too lifelike. I can't tell the difference. So Machaka. Do I think Machaka's better than Ulm? I feel like those are about the same. This is starting to look shakier and shakier. I think you have to come down. I do think that Shinuyama is probably better. I do think that Pyrene's better. So I think we've already said no A tier. I think you're towards the top here. I think you are falling rapidly, friend. But are you the best B tier? I don't know about that. I think somewhere in mid. A good sacred troop, a very usable heavy troop, good mages, but the rest of our troops are kind of garbage. And we don't have the best combat magic either. Africa in general has terrible representation. Yeah, I'd love to see some more. There's a couple like we need some North American ones, maybe some more Eskimo ones, because like late age Atlantis is the only one. So like other areas in the East ones. So lots and lots of them. Below Tien Ch'i, yeah, I could see that. I'm not being too precise here, just mid. Okay, next. How we doing on time? Oh, okay, we're not too bad. Just my voice is giving out because it's more talky than normal. Phaeacia, Isle of the Dark Ships. I actually think that this is a pretty darn good nation, especially if you get your special island start. If people are not amphibious or sailing, you literally can't have your cap taken away. That's really good. And if you get that specific start, you start with the Orichalcum mine, which is huge. And that means you can use cave kobolds to boost your resources. That means you can cast Riches from Beneath and double the bonuses from that. Those are all really good things that you can set yourself up to do. We have good, strong mages that use air, water, astral, glamour, and some earth. Very nice. We have spammable non-cap mages that are usable for air stuff. We have I believe one of them's a crafter, so we have a specialized crafter that can make some cheap owl quills, which is handy. We don't have a Holy 3, which is unfortunate, but we do sail, so your profit's going to be pretty mobile. Sailing is just good in general, and I believe our sailing is pretty top tier with the black ships. If you have black ships, size does not matter. We have good expansion with these. Oops, I just clicked. With these light troops. They are truly light troops, but it's a Colossus that can throw a javelin, so you probably get a kill or two on the way in. And they're not terrible in combat. They have decent repel with their spears. You can move up to the heavier guys, who are pretty decent heavy troops. You have an okay usable sacred, although it doesn't particularly stand out. Moving down to your humans, they're not stellar, but they're not misery either. You do have air, so you can wind guide your bowmen. Unfortunately, we don't have fire normally or nature, so other than that, we can't really buff them well. We are more of a decent line troops with good mages behind them. I think that's the case here. We are weak to amphibious nations, though. If there's water nations like Ys would love your capital. Man, they would put that Orichalcum mine to good use. And can you hold off against a rush from them? Probably not, because they're going to be on land with their fire-spitting horses. That's going to be rough. That's going to be pretty rough. But that's a very specific matchup. Overall, I think these guys are pretty strong. I think we also... Yeah, we get extra income from coastal forts. We get a really, really, really big economy here. And we want coastal forts because some of our mage recruits are coastal recruit. So we're very incentivized to do that. So it's kind of an interesting play style where you end up having these little colonies all around the lake that you're in. So that's kind of fun. And like I said, they have the best sailing with the black ships in the game, which is very nice for their mobility. Phaeacia is sad to lose fire. Didn't get enough glamour to be worth the trade. I agree. Their sacreds have a come up with having magic weapons. True. They're using Orichalcum gear, which is pretty top tier. Meow Meow says, Asphodel and Machaka S tier, everyone else F tier. Well, okay, you could post your tier list too. Phaeacia is deceptively good. Yeah, these guys are legit. Like, in the early game, these are hard to deal with because you can get them in really high numbers in your capital. You have, like, one of the best capitals in the game, like, bar none. And because we sail, you could be anywhere around that lake. If you land somewhere and it sucks, you just go somewhere else. It's not like I'm playing Pangea and no forest spawned. Guess I'm screwed. It's just like, okay, I'll sail across the lake. I'll go find something easy. That also makes you a contender for every coastal throne. Every coastal throne is under threat by you, and there's basically nothing they can do to stop you. So that's pretty darn strong there too. Colossi in general are good chassis too. And I don't remember which guy it is, but one of their human guys is a really efficient researcher, which is always handy. So Phaeacia, I feel, is very strong. I feel like we're like high A tier. Somewhere in this neighborhood. I do think these two are definitely stronger. Yeah, somewhere in like mid A tier. Very, very strong. Strong with big weakness that underwater. Yeah, that is a major concern because in Middle Age, even Pelagia can get out of the water. And why wouldn't they kill you? You have the best capital in the game. Just take it. Just take it. And if by some horrific happening, they manage to snuff your candles out, you lose your dark ship access. And you better hope that you have some Colossi who can ship reinforcements home, or you're done. Vanheim, arrival of men. Yep, the men did arrive. This is a nation that the AI is really good with if you turn up the difficulty, because the problem with this nation is they're priced way too high. Way too high. These mages are like 500 or 600 gold for a very mediocre mage. The dwarves are okay, but I believe they're cap only. Our sacreds are naked pony horses that die to like everything. The elf cavalry is not good anymore. It just isn't. Especially because we can't put barding on those guys. At least up here we can put barding on them. We can't down here. We get air, glamour, earth, blood, and some death and earth, but it's hard to get these buffed. We do have Valkyries, and Valkyries are okay, but they tend to have really high attrition. That hurts. The boars are very cool and unique. They are immortal supply-giving troops. That's actually pretty good. There's several nations that having a supply thing is useful for in Middle Age. So I actually think this is a very high positive. And they're immortal. So once you get enough of them, you don't need to recruit anymore. The workhorse of this unit is the werewolf with the greatsword and the berserker that's dual wielding. These guys are okay, but still kind of overpriced, and they don't have glamour. The Berserker is a good Berserker, and the Werewolf is excellent, especially once you get them Mist form. We won the game based on large numbers of large numbers of werewolves blessed or buffed with Mist form. That makes them very hard to deal with the regeneration and a great sword. And then when they do get wounded, they turn into werewolves with multiple attacks. That unit saves this nation. Other than that, very overpriced. They don't have high priest levels. We don't have the good blood. We have some blood, but not good. What else do I want to say here? They're just, I guess they can sail. They can sail. Sailing is good in 6. I like it a lot, but they're just way overpriced. They need about a 20% price cut, especially on their mages, to make it worthwhile. It is so painful. It is so painful. So Vanheim, I mean, I think they're like higher end of C, somewhere in here. They're probably, I think they're honestly better. They have better mages, more affordable. The troops here are maybe a little bit better, but you also can be countered easier. They're okay. They're just too expensive. Those mages are brutally priced. Absolutely brutally priced. Vanarus. The Chudes. The Chudes are here. I don't know what else to say. We got Chudes and Vanyears and humans. We do have skin shifters. These are bear boys instead of werewolves. Here, though, I don't think, for whatever reason, I find it harder to buff them with mist form, which is a pain. We have air and summon everything except for astral, and we have some summons. We have a bajillion summons, many of which are not natively castable, which is annoying. We don't do blood, but we can do blood sacrifices, so there's that. We don't have the Rusian Sacreds, which were way better than these guys. We do have a Glamour troop, if memory serves. We have some non-fort recruitment, which is actually kind of a pain because it forces them to be slow to recruit. So that is unfortunate. I think we mostly have cold resist, but I don't think everyone has snow move, if memory serves, which can be a little painful. Yeah, again, I think this is kind of C tier area. If these guys could also be recruited in forts, that would help a ton. At least we're not entirely reliant on Pony Cav, but yeah. These guys are there. And we don't have sailing either, so we don't even have that. And our troops are kind of the lower end of acceptable middle age. Like, we have iron gear, but it's like ringmail and like a full helmet and like a broadsword. Like, everyone does have snow move. Okay, well, that's at least decent there. They used to just be forest recruits, so you could get them in forest forts. No idea why. Yeah, I don't know either. It wasn't like this was an overpowered nation. Usable sacred. Again, you have to do a lot of work to make this sacred work. I think, didn't we give him like air shield or something in our game? Or no, it was swiftness. We were impressed by swiftness because it made him catch up with the other units, if memory serves. Slap him in middle of B tier. Middle of B tier? I don't know if we go that high. I mean, I think Abyssia is better. I think Caelum's better. I think Pythium's better. I would say low B tier. I do. I think they belong right in this neighborhood, so we will plop them in there. I don't think they're this bad. Like, they're not that bad, but they're not stellar either. Jotuneim, Iron Woods. Giants and still proud. We're still here. We're still big. We've lost our really big boys, but we have a pretty decent sacred. We have a very interesting shapeshifter giant. Do you like werewolves? Do you like giants? What if you had a giant werewolf? We also have some size 2s, which fit in nice to fill in holes. We have Moose Riders, who are a great meme. We have a very decent Thug chassis up here. We have some expensive but decent magic. We do Water, Blood, Death, Glamour, Astral, and some Nature. It's okay. A lot of randomness to them. We have a very efficient researcher in the Veti Hag. She also does not need a fort, if memory serves, so that's rather nice. The Wolf Cavalry is actually okay at flanking mages if they don't have too many bodyguards, so that can be useful. We have some cold-powered stuff, so this can be very strong, especially if you get extra cold from a throne. Moose Cav bonus points, I agree. Big mages, Veti Researcher, yep. My only Dom 6X with Jotuneim was with Pyrene, killing it. I think these guys are all right. They're pricey, but they're good. Like, javelins work on giants, so that helps. The werewolves are a very standout unit. Very, very nice. They like taking buffs too, which is also rather handy. Jotuneim, I do think you're good. Are you A tier though? I don't know. I'm thinking high B, low A. I think I would rather fight. Well, it depends on what I'm on. Maybe low A tier. You are a giant. You still can do what you can do. You have thugs, which are decent. The werewolf units are exceptional. You have some strong magic. High B, they lose a lot of stack. Horde of skeletons. You could kill a pan with Jotuns, I think. I think you definitely could. I think this one's definitely arguable. I'm going to put it up here at the bottom of A. But I definitely could see an argument for even down into like mid B. Next. Nidavangr, Bear, Wolf, and Crow. These guys are really good. This is a barbarian faction that actually works. This Sacred is incredible. I don't even think I had the best bless for these guys, and they destroyed. They absolutely destroyed. We had Luck, and we had some Undying, and it was ridiculous how many kills these guys got. In addition, for a nation with Recruit Anywheres, they have really good Recruit Anywheres, and most of them are priced where you can actually get them. We also have Death, Astral, Air, Nature, Water, and some Earth and Blood. We can do Winds of Death natively on our mages, which is a big bonus. That is a nice thing to do. Winds of Death is not super common in Middle Age, so that's a nice bonus there. We have Scrying, that's true. Scrying is always nice. Our leaders are okay. This guy is almost impossible not to win the arena with. Give him a great sword of sharpness, and you have to kill him 7 or 8 times, and he's likely to hit you at some point, and you will die. Very strong arena guy. The Sacreds, again, the shenanigans you can do with on-death effects that don't actually kill you is very good. What else? We do have we also have standard forts. So we're a barbarian faction with great Recruit Anywhere, and we have the standard forts. So it's not even like we're stuck on primitive forts for some reason. So that is really nice. That allows you to get your heavy troops out of forts and your lighter troops out of the wild. Very good there. We also have some Recruit Anywhere mages, which is super helpful. And they're sacred mages too. Super duper nice. High A with their sacreds, Hellbless or Terrifying. I agree. Their special ability has a bunch of interest. Yeah, it really does. And the fact that you can use luck on them and body ethereal. So in the end, with Body Ethereal and Luck, you have like a 5% chance of actually hitting and killing them on any given swing that would normally kill them. It's ridiculously tiny. And even if you do, you're likely to have 3 or 4 lives at least. And every turn, they're swinging back with a greatsword that they're good with. So they are likely to take you with them. Very, very nice. Now, they are weak to crossbows, but who isn't, right? And you can, because they're sacreds, just give them air shield if you are so inclined. The trick with Nidavangr is you need to utilize the bear, the wolf, and the crow. It's a holistic approach. That's right. We also have shapeshifters, which was very relevant in a couple of our fights. Guarantees paths are huge, yep. Half-price temples, yep. They have weak dominion. Why would you say that? I don't think so. They have weak priests, but you're gonna temple spam anyways, so I don't think that's bad. Because our mages are sacreds, so you need a temple and a lab for your recruit anywhere. I think these guys are pretty dang good. Are they top tier though? I don't think so. I think these guys are solidly an A. I'd be more frightened of these guys than Pangea, unless Pangea white centaured me down. I think they are probably more viable than Ermor. I think they're somewhere in like this top range. I think this feels pretty good. I think you could make an argument either way here. Okay, next. Ys. Ys is pronounced Ys. The Morgan Queens. The water nation that is probably the strongest, but can't fight water nations. It is a weird conundrum. Their sacred is one of the best, I would say. That flame breath is ridiculous. You also get a summon spell that you can summon Morvox, which is incredible. Unfortunately, your underwater recruit stuff is kind of garbage. Your land, and it's not even land, it's coastal recruit is kind of garbage. So in a game where you're the only water nation, this is amazing because you can get the water when you can get it, which you're going to need to be getting some of your better mages. And you can get on land. And when you do, you can at least get something out of forts. We're going to talk about Atlantis, which has a problem with this. These are okay troops, and you do at least get a mage. You could summon in free spawn swans, which are a great meme. So you get the meme bonus point. Marrow are pretty trash, and they tire out, and they're not great. For an underwater troop, they're acceptably usable. Acceptably usable. This nation is all about their sacreds and their strong underwater mages. By far. Glamour, water, earth, astral, nature, fire. That's good. Good pathing. They have decent variety. Good glamour. You can get Twilight up on your own. Standard forts is nice. They have luck and magic, which is okay. That's a good combo. They are a very cap defendant nation, which is not good. I feel like in middle and more so in late age, you don't want to be cap dependent because you want to be building these huge armies of good stuff, not relying on a cap only thing. So that hurts. Also, these troops are basically Merverni's early age troops, and they haven't changed overly much, and they lost their tattoos. So that's kind of eh. Oh, do you want to recruit a Marrow with 10 base attack and defense? Plus 5 gold, please. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So, and their sacred underwater is as bad as everyone else's underwater sacreds. So that's not even going to help you win an underwater war. You need to be on land and using the fire breath for them to be really good. So, probably at the higher end here of B, I would say. They have the advantage of being amphibious, whereas Olm does not, Man does not really. So I think the amphibious gives them a big bump for being in their B tier. On land, those sacreds are nuts. Like 5 and a commander can expand, and just like with the spiders, if you run into something hard, you just combine a couple groups And they're calves, so they move around quickly. So I think that's pretty dang strong. Oh, we're in the final stretch here. Pelagia, obviously S tier. We won one of our quickest wins ever with them, right? Or not. Our problem here is a lot of our best stuff is aquatic, not amphibious. That hurts a lot. Also, this is one of the stupidest units in the game. We have a cap-only underwater sacred that was recruited with iron gear. It immediately rusts. So to get on land as a bare bones, essentially human chassis, and you have to build a fort, and you have to spend a turn or two standing there to repair your rusty gear, and then you're ready to go. And all that for like a short sword and a shield on some armor. It is so bad. It is so bad. They have some cavalry that's decent underwater. It's okay on land. I'm pretty sure this guy can get out of the water. A lot of these other good troops are aquatic only and cannot be recruited. They should be coastal. Dude, if these were cap and coastal recruit sacreds, that would actually help them out a lot. That would actually help them out a lot. And this still wouldn't be a very great nation. Other things. Our mages are kind of mid. We have some of that weird, like, we lose things when we go on land thing going on. Probably the strongest water nation, or up there with Relay, underwater. It's just you cannot translate your underwater power into a win. That hurts a lot. That hurts a lot. We won our game based on map positioning, and Flippy, who was a Telkeen, and we used his Telkeen farts to win by killing armies and things. We do have pearl farming, and that can be useful, but you probably use a lot of those water gems to actually win underwater. So yeah, that's, yeah. They do have, like you said, they do have pearl farming, and they do have high astral, so that does give you a late game plan. And with Amulets of the Fish, you can get on land with some of these guys, where that is helpful. It's very unfortunate they have so many aquatic-only troops. That is annoying. Forced to make the expensive sacred aquatic cav to win underwater. Yep. And then you can't bring them on land. Yep. I don't understand why we don't have a magic... Yeah, well, just like you said, a magic item that has group air breathing. We have a barrel of air. Why don't we have, like, water bubbles? It puts a magic bubble of water around your troops' heads. It lowers their combat speed and attack, but gives them air breathing. I'm done. There you go. You can take that, Illwinter. I'm okay with that. It would help so much. And it doesn't even need to be huge. Like a 50 would be fine. Maybe 100 would be fine. Or you could go really spicy and give us a global spell that gives air breathing. That would be hilarious, because people could counterspell that and kill your entire army. Or give us a blessing, an air breathing blessing. Why not? Why not? I'm very frustrated because I want to like this nation. I really, really want to like this nation. So it is so unfortunate that this is not amphibious. Change out the mount. Give us something that is amphibious, and this would probably fix the nation if this was not aquatic only. Bless points, maybe, but this isn't a good chassis anyways, so it's kind of funny. You can sink land provinces. You can. That's very hard to pull off. If you watch my EA Relay, we did that spell. If I remember right, you have to cast it while on land, too. I think that was the thing that annoyed me a lot about that. Why you can't cast that underwater, I do not know. Ugh, oh my goodness. So, Pelagia. Definitely a sea nation. And I think they're going to get dinged major points on can you actually win the game. I feel like we're like here. We're in this group of 4. In theory, can you win the game? Sure. Is it likely to happen? Probably not. Probably not. I feel like Ys has a much better chance of getting out of the water and actually winning a game. These guys, I don't think so. Is Bandar Log that bad? Animals and basically unfixable low magic resist, early era troops, and half of their special things are blood, which they can't do, is the long short of that. Again, though, I want to emphasize, this doesn't mean I think these are unplayable. One of my favorite nations, they're very playable. I just don't think you're picking these if you're trying to pick a strong, I want to win for sure nation. I think you're playing these because they're fun and you want to play diplomacy if you're playing in multiplayer. These are the nations you want to team up with in multiplayer, and you want to attack these nations as a coalition. So I do think there's kind of a distinction there. Oceania Myrmidons. Okay. I think they are a little bit better than early era version of them. They have an interesting mechanic where coastal provinces get extra turmoil and non-coastal get extra order. That's interesting. It's okay. We're good at nature, water, glamour, some air, and some earth. We did foul vapors on this nation very easily. A lot of these units are amphibious, and we all have recuperation, so we can heal off afflictions. Our cavalry can actually get on land. It's not a stellar sacred cavalry, but it's amphibious. At least it's amphibious. These ones are good mages, but they're aquatic only. You need an amulet of the fish to get them out of the water, whereas some of the other ones you can just use a Shambler skin. So that's a little annoying. We didn't get to do too much of it, but sirens are pretty good. You can lure people and drown them as like an assassinate kind of attempt. You also can do sleep clouds, which is pretty powerful spell. And you can spam these out pretty well, and they're reasonably priced. A hiccup we did run into, in order to summon your fort on land, it has to be in a forest. And in the stream, we didn't get any coastal forests. So I had to build my forts everywhere, which our forts are actually better than our summon. In early age, it's the other way around. Your buildable forts don't give you a commander bonus point, so everything is slow to recruit. In this age, both of them at least have a commander point, so nothing is slow to recruit. So that's a big win there. Glamour 2, Air 1 also gives you Wailing Winds, which is a win condition type spell. That definitely can win you games. So I appreciate that. That all being said, not a stellar nation. Underwater, you're going to struggle to beat Relay. You're going to struggle to beat not Pangea, Pelagia. On land, everyone is as good or better than you, basically. So that's a bit of an oof. So you're relying on amphibious. You're relying on probably foul vapors or wailing winds. Recuperation's nice. You do have an amphibious sacred, so I'm not going to ding you for that. You do get half-price temples, and you can summon in forts that are good enough, which can help your economy quite a bit. So they get some bonus points there. Where are we going to place them? I almost want to give them pity bottom of B tier, but I don't think I can. I think they're still a C tier. They just don't have the oomph. The sirens almost do it. And guaranteed foul vapors almost do it. But none of the troops are stellar. You are wet Pangea. And your wet Pangea that's sacred isn't as good as white centaurs. It's too bad. If this was white centaur but amphibious, that would probably catapult them up to like here. But they're not. So it's not, unfortunately. And you are right. Maybe even Uruk's actually a little better because Uruk can get underwater too and can build underwater forts too. So somewhere in this neighborhood of like the top tier of C. Trident centaurs are strong as well. Yeah, tridents are good weapons. Capricorns are very thuggable. Yeah, yeah, they're all right. Moist Pangea. They're worse than Pans on land, and they're miserable attack and defenses. Yep. Unfortunately. Atlantis, Kings of the Deep. Another one of my favorite nations is Atlantis, just because I like how they transform. This nation at least has the benefit of we have some land recruits. In early age, we have 0 land recruits. We literally can only recruit indies on land, unfortunately. We do have powerful priests. I believe that's still her. We have good mages, but they're underwater recruits only. So if you play like Twirling Seas, how many forts are you going to fit on Twirling Seas? 2, 3, 4, maybe? Top. That's going to suck. That's going to suck a lot that you cannot get enough mages, good mages. You do have some land ones that are okay. We do water, astral, fire, and earth. We are probably the premier acid nation. We can also make rune smashers for what that's worth. Liquid body is a pretty nasty spell. We generally like cold. We have some cold resist available to us, and we're under deep water generally. We do suck. We have these living pillars who are garbage sacreds. They pass out in like 3 rounds. They have so ridiculously encumbered. This is our coastal or surface recruit. He is pretty garbage. He's just like an independent with a spear. But at least it's better than having nothing. They do have some decent research. They do have some astral here, which is nice. They do have good leadership. The glaives are still decent. A lot of these low-end troops are pretty garbage. The heavier ones, okay. Yeah, a lot of these troops are just not particularly great. I think I want to say they're better than EA, but maybe they're not. We don't have the nice Basalt Kings we used to have, who were pretty darn powerful. And we also don't have the Deep One Shamblers and stuff, who are amazing. So that's unfortunate. Seeing what other people are saying. Lobster Cav. I mean, that is true. Unfortunately, it's underwater only. Again, if these were amphibious, that would help them out a lot. Recruitable Holy Threes does help. Communions are on path. That's true. I honestly don't know where I would put them. I feel like you have a better chance winning here because all of our underwater stuff, barring the lobster, can get out of the water. I feel like we're probably better than that. Like, we're like here, maybe. Holy Threes is nice. Our troops are nothing to write home about, though, at all. And especially our land recruit ones. And our magic, while decent, isn't stellar. The Holy Threes help, but how much does a naked Holy Three chassis do? And especially one that's kind of targetable by crossbows on fire large enemy monster. That's a little iffy. That's a little iffy. Lobster's amphibious? Nope, the mount is not. Sag. Technically, Kings of the Deep are only portal mage that have a chance to hit a 5 in a path. Yep. Yeah, that's so sad. I wish those... Why instead of lobsters, why don't we switch to crabs? We could be crab knights, and then we could go on land. And crabs could use those good untyped damage claw attacks. That would help them out a ton. I think I'm okay with that. Not terrible. They can get out of the water, and they can take forts, especially coastal things. So I think they're okay. They're okay. And last, but certainly not least, Relay, Fallen Star. Probably my favorite Relay by far. The squids are so good. The squids are so good. We have a pretty mediocre lineup, although the Meteor Guards are notable for being pretty good heavy infantry underwater with magic weapons. We have the Foul Spawn guys who aren't good, but at least we can recruit something on land. Noticing a theme here. You also get is it this guy that has Mind Blast still that we can recruit on land? These guys have Mind Blast. They also have some like Lifesteal Touch. We have this interesting Sacred that he almost never gets built because this guy's just better. He's cheaper than this guy and has the same Mind Blast. Both of which are Sacred, I believe. Our magic is kind of mid. We have good Astral and we have some Water, Earth, Glamour, and Nature. The leadership is pretty good. Good heavy armor, magic weapons. We have some mindless troops, which are good in the right circumstances, but we're not reliant on them. Only Sacred is cap only mage. That's true. And we do have an interesting mechanic where we can enter the Void Gate and summon in some pretty powerful things, although they're very RNG. They're very RNG. Nice cheap bless. Yep. The Inifort Starspawn Mage is. Gotcha. Yeah. So overall, I think this is my favorite relay, and I think they're decent. I think of the water nations, they're all right. They can get out of the water just fine. And like I said, they have something they can recruit on land, so they're not really penalized by that. Astral's a good path, and they're good at it. The Mind Blasts are really powerful still. I think that's good. I think this is a strong nation. We don't do the pop kill that we do in late age, and we don't have the trouble getting out of the water that we do in early age. So I think they're by far the best. Are those hybrids actually better than indies? Not all indies, no. I believe the better one has 2 attacks. I think they have a tentacle attack and a spear, if memory serves. So they're okay. What this means is if you have to fort something with a bad indie, you at least have an option. You also get some free spawn of these too. Free spawn is always good. This guy is pretty decent too. He has Mind Blast, a commander, so you can do Fire Rear with Mind Blast on him, which is pretty nice. So pretty decent here. Relay, I think you go somewhere up in here. Somewhere in like high-ish A, something like that. You can get out of the water. You have good troops. You have magic weapons, which is a big benefit nowadays since so many people don't have that bless anymore. Yeah, I think that's all right. Okay, let's do a quick little audit here. S tier. I think you deserve it. I think you deserve it. I think you deserve it. And I think you deserve it. Are these in the exact order? I don't know, but I feel like these are pretty close. Ashdod, I could even see bringing you up to A. You are pretty good. Maybe up to S. Maybe we put you at the bottom of S. I feel like those guys are pretty decent. Rovesy making an argument for Ashdod at B. Interesting. Okay, so we still have some mixed feelings about Ashdod. Always felt they're a little overrated. I think they're very strong, though. I do think that you can do some pretty good shenanigans with those guys. We have the Ball, I believe that mage is called, who's pretty strong. They do have that crappy eating mechanic, which is super annoying. Their infrastructure is very expensive, as are the mages, but they're pretty good. Maybe A is right for them. Maybe that's enough downsides that we can't get through there. Marignon, good. I almost feel that this is a little high, but the multiplayer people seem to feel pretty strongly about Pangea. I think this is good. In my opinion, I think this would go like down here, or maybe even to here, but I'm willing to rely on the crowd for that one. 2 holy points per sacred. That's true. That probably disqualifies them from S. That is a fair point there. I feel like all of these people deserve to be here. Maybe not in this order necessarily, but I feel like this is all right. Okay, B tier. This is a hard one for me. I think I'm hard on middle-aged Ulm. I think I'm very hard on them, but I think it's deserved. Low magic, new players are going to struggle with crafting, and they have a lot of just the same troop but slightly different gear, which is an annoyance of mine. No sacred. I think they just got a lot going on there. Middle-aged man is S tier. I just don't see that. I could see putting them high B. Their cavalry is very good. They have some decent mages. They have an interesting research thing, but I just not seeing that. I'm just not seeing that. I mean, in a normal, everyone's fighting everyone normally game, I don't see man trouncing any of these. Unless for some reason they just ignored him and let him tech forever. I just don't see that happening. And even Marignon, I feel like we have as good or almost as good of a heavy, and we also have other things going on for us. So I don't see that one. Ys, I do feel is very strong. I don't think they can go higher though, because your cap recruitment dependent, you could actually get killed by another underwater nation. And if they counter your fire, you have glamour, I guess, but not much else. That hurts a lot. This is maybe another wild card. Maybe I still have them too high, but I feel like Mind Hunt is really good. And this is like probably the best one to do it in middle age. I feel like the Hoplon units are good. The Sacreds are kind of eh. The Heartsworn, I think they're called. They're kind of eh. But they're not misery. They're okay. You just don't need to bless them. Having healer in general is good. They have good research. J-Rob says, I think Ys is a one-trick pony, a one-trick fire pony, fire-breathing pony. Mezuai Lacon says, undead nations are lame. Even if you're lame, you're still strong. Well, I have good news for you. In late age, there's only one of them left. Or I guess in early age, there's only one of them also. So stay out of middle age. You won't have to deal with them too much. Tien Ch'i, I think, is fair. I think that's fair. Fair. I think you could arguably be higher with a good super combatant build. Maybe. You're very vanilla. As are you. You struggle with... You have some distinct weaknesses. Ditto. You may even be a little high. You may be a little high. In fact, I just don't feel like that. For me, and it's my tier list, I'm moving you down. So, Uruk. I think Uruk's fine. It's fine. Oceania, at least you can get out of the water. You're okay. Glamour really saves your butt. Why don't you have magic weapons on your sacreds? I don't understand. Give me back the early age sacred, or just give me his spear and shield, and you would be so much better. Also, Furbolgs, put on a hat. Seriously, dude, it's not funny anymore. You are ridiculously overpriced. You picked the wrong time to give up blood magic. Get back. Fall off that cart, please. Fall off the wagon. You struggle to get out of the water effectively. Your sacred is aquatic, and your other sacred is kind of garbage. Sad frogs. Sad monkeys. But I will say here, I don't feel that anything deserves D tier here. I did feel in early age we had some basically nations that shouldn't win games. They just did not have the ability to project power onto land and actually win with it. I do feel that even my most annoying nations here can get out of the water and can, I guess, be you, and you can get out of the water and can win games. So, again, subjective, of course. Of course. And remember my bias. It's more single player, less on the multiplayer side. Strong arguments made here about players, for sure. Apparently people are also kind of questioning that one, but I feel pretty decent about this. It's amazing for me to think that we have done a video and a stream about every single one of these nations, and a couple of them had to be streamed twice, like this little boyo here. Middle age sacred is quite literally the EA anywhere fort elf, but middle age, yeah. Yep. Zots and EA are the best faction. I don't know if they're the best, but they're definitely better. Zots are definitely stronger than Froggos, And they also have the advantage of being in early age instead of middle age. Great list, Babel. Well, thank you, J-Rob. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys coming in here and giving thoughts and opinions. I try to take everyone's thoughts into account, whether I agree with it or not necessarily. Maybe on turn 100, what was the best faction? They do have quite the blood economy. They have some disgusting summons, but early age also just has less population. So, a lot of people think man's sacred should be nerfed. Maybe this is one where my opinion will have to be changed. One stream closer to the goal of late age Atlantis. Looking forward to how you do expansion with Erythia in Dom 6. Yeah, that's going to be a rough one, I have a feeling. Higher gym settings equal more slaves per hunt. The unicorn is just disgusting. It is nice to have the magic weapon. That is true. All right, I'll tell you what. I'll do this for you. You can go up. You can go up into A. You can go up into A. Maybe we can even put you a little higher. We'll put you at mid. We'll put you at mid. I'll give you the concession there. A tier list with no other opinions is just boring. Keep up the conversations. Thank you, Alfred. I feel the same way. And whether you agree or disagree with me, you have to admit, I've done an hour-long video on my thoughts on every single one of these nations, and I've streamed and won a game on difficult on almost every single one of these nations. So you can at least go see, I'm not just talking out my butt. I at least have the right to an opinion on every single nation. I have hundreds of hours of video to back it up. Almost. Which one haven't you played? I played all of these. We weren't doing difficult AI at the very beginning. So like Asphodel fought normal AI, and I think somebody else did too. Maybe it was Abyssia. And in early era, I did not stream Oceania or Pelagia. But everything else has a video and a stream, and everything has a video. That's why I'm membered to Babel. Well, thank you, Peric. I appreciate that. Well, I'll tell you what, Robsy, you can post a video response with your tier list and I will watch it. That is true too. And like I said, I'm willing to take that into account, but that's definitely not my arena of expertise. My multiplayer experience is from 5, which, grains of salt are very large there. Okay, well, I had a ton of fun there. I really appreciate everyone turning out. It was a pretty big stream for me. I kind of thought this one would be. People love tier lists, so there it is. I didn't have any horrific technical problems, so that was rather nice. I'm still going to try to get better for late age. I don't know. For whatever reason, Dominion's display is very weird, and I can't switch scenes in OBS, and I can't just Alt-Tab because of the way OBS has to capture it. So I really wish we could have our in-game screen so I could open things up rather than relying on my PowerPoint here. So maybe I can come up with a better way to do that, unfortunately. We could always do a members-only stream one day, and we can all play together. Try every faction that way. Could be a possibility. Could be a possibility. Tier lists are fun to argue. I agree. And I like doing it live. And I'm sure in the comments I'm going to get tons of people with other opinions too, which is cool. Like I said, I went back and rewatched my other tier lists, and I read all the comments again during the week, just so I could brush up a little bit here. I've noticed that opening the game twice fixes it. Alt-tabbing. You can see part of the problem if you use the snip tool. Try to use the snip tool and take a snip of the game, and it doesn't snip what you see. It sees the screen behind it. And I don't mean another program. It's like old Dominion's information. And so I don't know how they are printing the screen display, but it's weird. It's very weird. I don't know. So it is what it is there. Okay, let's move on to some bookkeeping here. So next week we are starting in late age. I am officially going to move, for the time being at least. Pre-game videos are not going to come out on Monday. They're going to come out on Tuesday. It works better for the way that I'm releasing content on YouTube. Because I don't stream on Tuesday, YouTube will like that more. That's just me playing the metagame of YouTube. Also, most of the comments that I get come in the first day or two. So whether it's Monday or Tuesday doesn't really change the amount of feedback I'm going to get. It's rare that Wednesday and Thursday I get any new feedback I need to take into account for Friday. So that's not going to change on my end. I don't think I'm going to do any streaming this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to take a break after streaming like 6 days a week for 3 weeks in a row. And I need to finish up our Dominions content. We'll be back next week, though. Monday stream, Wednesday stream, Dominions on Friday for sure. We have a bunch of content coming in the near future. In a little over a month, I'm going to be on my summer schedule, which means I'm going to be doing a bunch more streaming. Dominions is not really going to change. I think Dominions is going to stay the same as it is. But on summer schedule, it's going to be something like a morning stream and an afternoon/evening stream on probably Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. So a ton more content coming. A couple big things I'm going to do. We're going to do Cyber Nights when it comes out in early June. That'll probably be the afternoon-evening stream. And in the morning stream, it's a little bit of a wild card, but here's a few things I'd like to do this summer. X4 Foundations, Tien Ch'i, some more Stellaris, maybe some Victoria 3, some more Crusader Kings, Octopath Traveler, Persona 5, Fantasio Rememoria, and I'm sure other smaller games interspersed in there. There was a DLC for Last Spell that added elves. We didn't even really use the Dwarven one either, so I wouldn't mind retouching bases on Last Spell again. That was pretty fun. And I'm sure other things are going to come out that I'm going to want to play. So it's going to be a little bit weird because of what I don't want to have happen is like afternoon is locked into nothing but Cyber Nights for months. And morning is locked into nothing but X4 for months. So it'll probably be kind of a, Monday and Wednesday we play this game, and Saturday, Sunday we play that game, or I'm going to mix it up somewhat. That just keeps it fresh for me and keeps it interesting. I will say, it's also just going to depend on how popular things are. If I'm playing X4 and 10 people are watching, I'm probably going to move on to something else. Or Tien Ch'i is another one I'm really worried about. I'm sure everyone will watch episode 1 of Tien Ch'i, but who's going to watch episode 9 of Tien Ch'i? That's the problem I have with long series. So I don't have a good answer for that yet, but lots and lots of content coming. We'll see if I lean a little more into streaming. I enjoy streaming more than I like the video creation. So I'm leaning that way, but my videos tend to do better than my streams. So it's a push and a pull, and we'll just see where we get there. But all kinds of content coming. We're about a month out from when that change is going to happen. So please look forward to it. I want to say a huge thank you again to everyone who was here tonight. If you're still hanging in there and you haven't left the like, very, very appreciated if I could get you to do that. It helps an absolute ton. I want to say thank you to all the super chats and to the very generous super chats and the very generous gift memberships. Very appreciated. I'm sure everyone who received one is also saying thank you. They're probably watching the Late Age Abyssia video right now because they've already ditched out a stream. Should be pretty fun. And finally, I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers. Our big goal for the year in November, which will be the 2-year channel anniversary, my goal is to get to 5,000 subscribers. Right now, we're slightly behind at my current pace of making it there, but I'm hoping we can pick that up. So we don't have that far to go. I feel like it's a very achievable goal, and appreciated. Always appreciated. Thank you guys for being cool. If you're not, check out the Discord that's linked on the channel information. Again, if you're a channel member, you can link your accounts and chat. And even if you're not, you can see what we're talking about. You can get information for joining some of those Dominions games that people are running. And you can check out the suggestion channel and the sale channel. And you can get notifications if YouTube isn't giving you your notifications. All right. My voice is absolutely shot. This was a very intense speaking stream for me, so I'm going to go nurse that with another hot cup of tea, and I will see you guys on Monday, most likely. If I do decide to do a Sunday stream, I will definitely send a notification out on Discord, so if you don't want to miss something, be there or be square. All right, thanks for being cool, everybody. Great stream. Enjoyed it a ton. Looking forward to doing the late age tier list. 30 something weeks to go. We're practically there. All right. Night, everybody. Babble out.